I've been gone for a week and I forgot how the show went. So here's a new intro. You're welcome.
Making your way through the daily grind takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to tune away? All those nights when you're feeling low, the rent is overdue, and your coffee maker's broken, your luck just seems to skew, and your boss is always on your case. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed and you feel the dread. The morning's looking bleak, and your internet is down again. You haven't slept all week, and your car just broke down on the way. Be glad there's a place online where you can feel at ease. In the Barroom Podcast, friends, we share our thoughts and teas. Every story shared, every laugh so free. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So here's to the moments we all hold dear, in this barroom of the airways with friends so near. Every story shared, every heartfelt cheer. It's more than just a podcast, it's where we steer. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So tune in, live, unwind, let the stories unfold. In this haven, voices where camaraderie is gold. The Barroom Podcast, your home away from home, where laughter is the language and you'll never be alone. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
Hello, everyone. I'm gone for 1 week, and you guys can't fucking behave yourselves. What is wrong with you people? It wasn't even 7 days. What is going? Hey everyone, we're here for a very special episode of the Ballroom Podcast, and I got a lovely group of people joining me here tonight. Hyped up completely on NyQuil is our good buddy Cider. How you doing, Cider?
I am death incarnate.
He's doing well. He's great. He's physically fit. Also joining us here today, someone who's probably on emotional NyQuil, Rob Motto. How's it going, Rob?
Pretty good. Yeah, I thought Cider sounded off, so it's good to hear that he's sick and not. I mean, he might be dying. I don't know. Well, who knows? But I saw The Long Walk on Friday and actually really liked it. And I didn't. It was weird. Rick brought up that potentially it bombed because of Stephen King's comments, about the topic of the evening, and I just completely, I don't think those things are connected personally. But hey, it's possible.
I will say this, and just me speaking for me. While I was on vacation, I was looking for one movie to enjoy with my brothers, and literally could not find one anywhere. All of the movies that are out right now are absolute dog water. And then that film was the new one that came out. But then I heard what Stephen King said. Then I heard his follow-up to what Stephen King said. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not watching a movie. I'm not even wasting my time. So it might have been a 2 out of 5. But you know what? I'm not doing it right now. But we'll get to all that in due time. Joining us here early for the first time since ever is our good buddy Rick Aragon. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing relatively well, though I want to correct Rob's idea. I didn't say that that was the reason or even a reason. I said it's a partial reason. There might be, like Jacob, some people who didn't want to see it because of that, but it didn't have that much marketing. There aren't any big names that I know of. So there were a lot of other factors, but that probably did not help. That whole brouhaha that he decided to indulge in needlessly. And that's an issue that we should cover. Well, I hope we will. How so many
Oh, we're
problems
going to cover it.
because needlessly decided to throw themselves in this. Other than that, I wish Cider the best, and yeah, get well, Cider. I'll send you something from Juarez to cure you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't take it. Do not take it.
Yeah.
And then
What
our
is it,
good
like some
buddy-
cursed gypsy thing or something? What?
A little curandero never hurt anyone.
They throw bodies in the water. That's what I'm saying. Just don't.
That's not English.
Eddie Brock, how's it going over there? Eduardo. They don't even call you Eduardo.
All my cousins are named Eduardo. It's really wild. I'm the only one that's not named that.
There's
I
a
watched
lot of.
I watched The Thing today, or for the first time this week, and
Like
I
ever?
I never watched The Thing.
Wow.
So I watched it, and I don't understand how nobody in the '80s thought the dog did it. They were throwing hand grenades at the dog, and they let the dog walk into the place. Oh yeah, he's just a dog. No big. Come on, what the hell? Anyway, good movie.
It's a pretty solid movie. It's a pretty good film. I want to welcome everyone who's joining us here tonight. We are here on all three platforms tonight: YouTube, X, and on Rumble. I'm going to go ahead and just toss the Rumble link to you guys here, just in case, because I feel like with the content of tonight's show, we might borderline on some things that YouTube probably frowns upon, but we're going to say them tonight regardless. So just in case things go haywire, there's the Rumble link. You may want to go ahead and save that just in case. But let's introduce everyone who is in for our show here tonight. Leslie Tarkin is joining us back here. Hail to all you lovely people. Rob's in the chat with us as well. Lisa Dawn's joining us tonight. Keith over on the Rumble side of things is joining us for tonight's show. Who else do we have here? It's been a couple of weeks. It's been a very interesting couple of weeks there. Terminator Joe saying, evening ladies and gents. He's here with us tonight. Who else do we got here tonight? I think we still got other people trickling in. Yeah, I think there's still a lot of back and forth, and everyone's glad that Rick's here. Rick is in fact here. JT is also here tonight as well. So I want to thank all you guys for joining us for tonight's show. Yeah, so I guess we should just kind of go ahead and get right into it. Let me go ahead and just throw a couple of disclaimers here. I'm going to try to be as reserved within reason that I possibly can be tonight, but I'm probably not going to be as reserved as you've seen me in recent months. So you're probably going to see a little bit of old society reviews tonight, and I think there's probably a good reason for that. I'm also going to be talking about what happened over last week from a multitude of perspectives, from a political one, from a cultural one, and a biblical one. So if you don't like hearing the biblical perspective of this story, I would probably leave the stream now. And in all honesty, I would probably not come back, because if you're listening to my channel, my show, and you don't want to hear that perspective, you're at the wrong channel to begin with. So I'll go ahead and get that pre-warning here tonight. So as you guys know, I was off last week because I was on vacation. I took a very lovely vacation with my brothers. We literally lived out of a carry-on bag for an entire week. So I locked up my bag with 3 days worth of clothes. Yeah, it was pretty impressive. 3 days worth of clothes, essentially like a travel toothbrush, deodorant, mouthwash, all that stuff. A little bit of space for souvenirs. It's had to, come to that. I went to Vegas for a couple of days. I was there Sunday through Wednesday. And then on Wednesday, I went from Vegas to San Diego. So obviously, the thing that everyone is talking about was the assassination of Charlie Kirk that took place on Wednesday. let me go ahead and kind of set the stage of how I found out about all this and then everything that unfolded immediately afterwards. I had just got checked in at the TSA in Las Vegas. I'm in the Las Vegas airport. I'm probably about an hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes away from, getting on our flight, heading to San Diego, going back to my hometown, San Diego, California, which, not as beautiful as it used to be. A lot of things have gone haywire there, especially in the last few years. I'll kind of get to that later on in the show. But I sit down, we finally get checked in. I'm at my gate, so kind of get settled in. I sit down, I'm on Twitter, and that's where I hear the story, everyone saying that Charlie Kirk got shot, Charlie Kirk got shot. I only saw the post at that time period, kind of the breaking news post. And then I was one of the people who was the unfortunate people who saw the close-up angle of Charlie getting shot. And the second I saw that video, I knew he was dead. The second I saw what happened to him, I knew that he was gone. The shot that went and killed him would have basically taken anyone out. I'm thinking like best case scenario, you have some kind of a military veteran, army medic on hand who could have plugged in that wound and all that. He still wouldn't have survived. Like, that was an absolute kill shot. We'll talk about the killer later on here in this show, but I kind of want to set the stage here. So this is what I saw. When I saw the video, absolutely horrified. I knew that he was gone. And a lot of emotions ran through with the whole Charlie Kirk situation. Now, I'm going to be very, very honest with you guys here, because I even talked about this about a month ago with the South Park thing, when they were mocking Charlie Kirk and doing all the other stuff too. And I thought to myself, Charlie Kirk, to me, the way that I viewed him, he was more of just a moderate Christian Republican. To anyone with any sense of common sense whatsoever, everyone kind of viewed him as more of a moderate. Some would even say that he was milquetoast. And why people were called him milquetoast, because let's be honest, there's probably a few of us, let alone a few people that we know, who are probably a lot farther to the right than Charlie Kirk was, right? So he was never someone who we viewed as, I guess you could say, a big influence in the political side of things, which is why I mentioned that it was kind of weird how South Park went after him the way that they did, because I get it, you're going after guys who are actually a part of the Trump administration. Charlie Kirk wasn't a part of the administration. Now, he did have a big role in getting Trump elected, which we'll talk about as well here too, but it's just kind of odd, because from our perspective, Charlie Kirk is more the moderate. He's more of, the nice guy. His whole deal was going to college campuses and talking to lunatic college students, some of them not so crazy, some of them would actually engage him in conversation, and that was literally it. That was his whole brand. He started Turning Point USA several years ago to try to rally young college students to get involved in conservative politics, and that was kind of his entire brand. So no one really considered him to be any real threat in the right, from the perspective of, there's a lot of guys you can talk about who you can consider quote unquote threats on the right. You can look at a guy like a Tucker Carlson, you can look at a guy like a Nick Fuentes, you can look at very, very polarizing figures and understand a very, very polarizing reaction to those figures. I don't think anyone saw Charlie Kirk as a polarizing figure in any way, shape, or form. Nevertheless, apparently somebody did, because they decided that they were going to murder him based on the things that he said and based on the things that he believed. And that was where it ended there. The murder in and of itself was bad enough, was traumatizing enough to literally watch a man get murdered, live stream on the entire internet for the world to see. That was bad enough. What really shook everyone to the core, you can argue it was even worse than the killing, was the left's reaction to his murder. Both immediate and the reaction that we have now seen over several days. And it has been absolutely, and I'm not using this term in any way, shape, or form loosely, it has been demonic. People have been literally celebrating the horrific murder of Charlie Kirk, knowing that they saw the video, they heard about what happened. People are cheerful on the left, they are gleeful on the left. People have made a multitude of videos celebrating his death, and I'm going to play nearly all of them, because one of these things that we need to stop doing is pretending like that this mindset affects both sides. It absolutely does not affect both sides. It is one side, it is the left. You can go a little bit further back here a couple of months ago. Remember when Hulk Hogan passed away? Remember, in the wake of Hulk Hogan's death, there was a lot of people, and let's be very, very clear here, who were also leftists, who were celebrating Hulk Hogan's death. Now, why would they do such a thing? Well, they were very, very upset that 17 years ago on a leaked sex tape, Hulk Hogan said the N-word a couple of times in regards to a guy who was banging his daughter. Very, very upset by it, right? The video then leaked about, I say, 10 years ago, and then ever since then, everyone on the left has had this intense hatred for Hulk Hogan, and they have absolutely refused to forgive him, right? That there is no forgiveness with the left whatsoever. Why? Because forgiveness is a biblical concept. But you kind of saw there that there was a lot of people out there celebrating the death of Hulk Hogan. And it's like, you guys realize that by doing this, you're showing that you're no better than you believed him to be. You're actually showing yourself to be worse, celebrating a man's death. Now, Hulk Hogan's death was nowhere near as tragic as what we saw with Charlie Kirk, but it should have been a warning sign to a lot of us that this was coming here. We also have a lot of people who were disappointed but cheerful when Trump got shot because they wanted him dead, and they didn't successfully kill Trump a year and a half ago when that whole thing went down. But we saw the reactions there. This is a mindset and a just very, very evil demonic spirit that has been with them for quite some time. And like I said, I don't think any of us consider Charlie Kirk to be a polarizing figure in any way, shape, or form. He's just a guy who was aligned with Trump, and he was just a guy trying to reach young college students. The way that people celebrated his death and cheered on his death woke up a lot of people that, you know what, if you think that he deserved to die, that you're happy that he died, and you're happy that, you know, his wife is a widow and that his kids don't have a father, if you're happy about that based on the things that he believed, then guess what? Any one of us could have been Charlie Kirk. And that is the message that has been resounding to absolutely everyone in the last several days. It's like you are seeing people unveiling just how demonic and evil they truly are. I want you guys to take a note of this real quick too. Right before I left, before any of this happened, I did an episode of the Bible Lens. I pre-recorded 2 episodes before I left so that there would still be content on Sundays because I was going to be in and out of airports both weekends. So the first week that I left before his murder happened, I did an episode talking about the reality of demonic possession, talking about the very reality that people kind of overlook demonic possession, that they don't think that it's a real thing, that we see people in everyday lives who are, you know, people who are crippling with drugs, people who are, you know, schizophrenic. We've talked about the reality of, you know, irrational anger, irrational thoughts, suicidal thoughts, all that stuff, and people just write it off and people don't take it as real demonic possession. Some of the videos that I'm going to show you here, if you don't believe in demonic possession at the end of this show, there is absolutely nothing that is ever going to convince you of that reality. And I'm just sorry. There are people out there, and I will be fair and say this. There are people from the left who have done videos and have talked about this who are very, very distraught about what happened with Charlie. And not only are they distraught about what happened with Charlie, they're distraught at the reaction from other people on the left to his death. Because I think that even though they were leftists and they support a lot of left-wing policies and opinions and whatnot, I don't think they realized just how evil their side truly was. And seeing that in real time shook them to the core. And let me say this, if you're someone who's on the left and you were disturbed by what you saw last week and you're disturbed by the reaction that a lot of people on the left are giving to this, that means you still have a soul. That means you still have hope. And I don't take that lightly in any metric whatsoever. However, I do believe that there's a large congregation of people who are too far gone. I don't think there's any saving them at that point. I know that's not something that Christians typically say, and a lot of people think we probably shouldn't say that, but one thing that we have to understand is that there is a point where you are in such rebellion against God that there is no coming back for you. And I want people to understand that that is actually a biblical concept. I'll talk about that a little bit more on the show. But so I'm sitting there, I'm in the airport, I'm on the plane, and I'm watching the reaction of people in the airport in Las Vegas, people who are getting on my flight to California, and I'm looking at the reaction on their faces. Because you can see what's happening on X, you can see what's happening on Twitter and some of these other platforms. Think to yourself, okay, well that's social media. That's not real life. That's just the internet. Now go touch grass and go live in the real world. I was in the real world. I saw it in real time. I saw people reacting in glee for what happened to Charlie Kirk with my own two eyes, traveling to Southern California. I went to San Diego. I saw the things that were happening in San Diego as this was all going on. This is not a minority. This is not just a minority on the internet. This is not just a minority of the left. This is the left. This is the American left in its most revealed, evil, satanic form that a lot of us have seen. And I don't think that a lot of us realize just how bad it was. Let's be honest. The whole thing that the left wants you dead, that's kind of been a meme for like the last 5 or 10 years, and people have said it. And I don't think that people have truly meant it. There are maybe a few people, maybe if you're Eric July and a couple guys like that, you actually meant it. But I don't think people actually truly came to the realization, it's like, oh, wait, these guys legitimately want us dead. And that's kind of where we are now as a society, that we're dealing with, 35, maybe 40% of Americans who, if you don't align with them perfectly on any issue, they either want you dead, or if someone were to kill you, they see your death as completely just based on the things that you believe. And that's just where we are now, that there is no more. That's the line. That's the line of where we're at now. So if you don't support LGBTQ, they want you dead. If you don't support trans children, they want you gone. If you don't support Black Lives Matter, you can be removed. They're going to celebrate your death on stage. If you don't support a multitude of issues, gun rights, because now the whole conversation is about guns, because it was the gun problem now, right? If you don't support these, they're going to celebrate your death. And I'm listening to people right now, and I'll probably wait to get to this a little bit later on here too, because I want to get your kind of reactions on this as well, because me watching this and me seeing this, I wouldn't say that I was initially worried, but I'm thinking to myself, keep in mind, I'm in Southern California. This is my hometown. This is the place that I grew up at. I remember California in the 90s, right? And California in the 90s is nowhere near what it is today. Even though the shift was already occurring in the 90s, it's nowhere near as bad as what I saw. I saw a city that is in literal and cultural rot. And I came to the brutal realization, as someone who's born and raised there, that I could never go there and live there and be amongst those people ever again. I couldn't do it. There's no way that I would ever go back under any circumstance. You can offer me Elon Musk money, I would not do it. You can offer me Saudi Prince money, I could not live. And that's something that I don't think I ever, like, it was a real realization point for me. It's like, I can't live amongst these people anymore, because I've had people 10 years ago tell me, and keep in mind, I was nowhere near as right-wing in 2016 as I am now. My big sticking point was like, no, actually, I don't think that immigrating a bunch of people from Syria to the United States is a good idea just because there's a war going on in Syria. No, I don't think that that's right. I see what's happening in Europe. Europe's kind of bad, so I don't think that's the right idea. I think Trump is actually right about that. And just on that issue and that issue alone, I had a multitude of people who I thought were friends, turns out they weren't, basically tell me that they can't associate with me anymore because of my opinions. And that was 10 years ago. So if the left told me 10 years ago that my opinions are too extreme for me to be associated with them, here's the line that I'm drawing. If you think that Charlie Kirk's death was in any way, shape, or form justified, and or you're celebrating it because of what he believed, I don't want to be associated with you anymore. And I don't care who lines up in that square. I really do not care at this point. At a certain point, you have to cut toxic people out of your life, and you have to cut bad people. This is the line. This is the time to do so. So this is the time I would tell everyone out there, I would seriously reevaluate any relationships that you have with people right now. Because like I said, if they did all this to Charlie Kirk because they feel that he was too extreme, that he was someone who sowed discord, this would probably be the time to distance yourself from those people, because it's only a matter of time before they see you in the same light. And as we saw with Charlie Kirk, as we saw with that poor girl in Ukraine, and a multitude of other examples we'll talk about in the course of tonight's episode, they will actually do it. Like they're not joking around this time. They're actually going to do it. And then when it does happen, they're going to celebrate it after it happens. So I want to start with Rob here, and we'll kind of go around here a little bit. I know that you've been pretty taken aback by everything that happened here. So kind of get your thoughts on what happened, where you found out about this, and what was your reaction to the reaction of people who were going around essentially celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I was actually at work, and I was busy for once. I actually was on a call, and just in general, I'll just say this: I sell health insurance, so whatever. Yeah. But I was on the phone. I went to the bathroom and I saw the headline flash across my phone. I was like, no, there's no way that's real. It's like, that's like shocking headline, and then looking into it, it's like, no, it's real. And I don't know, like, listen, I understand these things happen in general, like assassinations and throughout history and whatever. This is very different, I think. Usually you hear about a politician or somebody that was controversial, a war criminal, whatever, somebody that wasn't liked, was, stirred things up, was potentially guilty of crimes, right? The CIA, there's controversy of the CIA taking out that guy, Soleimani or whatever, like years ago under the Trump's first administration. And so, you hear about things like this all the time. This was at best, or whatever, however you want to look at it, he was a political commentator. He was a guy that went to colleges, universities, basically picked up Ben Shapiro's old shtick. And look, I kind of saw Charlie Kirk for what he was a decade ago in terms of just, he's a political guy, he's conservative, he speaks to these viewpoints. I didn't even necessarily associate him as a Christian conservative or the conservative right, but a lot of his issues are tied to that, whether it's abortion, whether it's just overall, just general morality of his worldview. Yeah. It's tied with a lot of that stuff. So that was my relationship with him. I didn't pay attention to him too much, but I knew he was popular with younger people. I knew he got a lot of younger people interested in voting for Trump, and was part of that movement of younger men, especially. So all of that having said that, like, it's an awful thing that happened. Like, I definitely look forward to the authorities getting to the bottom of it. And then you see all of the reaction. And all I could do was flash back on 2020 and George Floyd and the Summer of Love, where a lot of people used the death of this man to riot, tear down the city, burn things down. And that's basically what people were doing online after this happened. They exposed themselves as immoral. They exposed themselves as just completely without character, without value, without any kind of principle. I'm trying not to go into the, I'm not trying to go into the religious realm with this, but it's just like, you do not act like that. You do not put yourself out there. You do not put your name out there and act in a manner that disgraces you, disgraces the family you come from, whatever. You know what I mean? And I would hope that these people don't understand what they're saying, don't understand what they're doing, because at the end of the day, it's like, it's an innocent person lost their life for what? Because you didn't like their opinion, because you didn't like their worldview. That makes you justifiably being described as evil. Like, we can just say it right now. They're like, without bringing religion or theology into it, there is good and there is evil, and that's just straight up fucking ghoulishly evil behavior, any way you want to cut it. Because it's like, you can disagree with someone, you could even say that, oh well, they contribute to a hostile environment. Nobody deserves to get shot for what they say, for what they think. That is the foundation of free speech. We can talk about the government and they're not allowed to censor you. All that's fine. But the reality is that you can say what you think, you can say what you feel, and there aren't just violent consequences for it. Not only by the government, but by your fellow man, by your fellow American. If you don't believe in that, what the fuck are you doing in this country? You fucking ghoulish pieces of shit. You know, that's genuinely how I felt the hours after this happened. It was just like, who are you people? Who are you people? And then, you know, I don't know if you're going to say this for later, but when people were losing their jobs, it was just like, okay, like, did you think that there wasn't a cost for this? That normal everyday people who don't spend all this time online would see this as incredibly inappropriate, disgusting behavior, that they would not ever want to be associated with someone that acted like that.
I'll talk about that a little bit later on because I'll go into kind of the reactions. But yeah, there was this extremely hypocritical viewpoint from the left because now they're upset that their people are getting fired from their jobs from their satanic devilish reactions to Charlie Kirk's death. And it's like, first of all, the whole there's no freedom of speech, freedom of consequences, that was your line. That was your line that you created when you were weaponized against your political opponents several years ago, when people on the right were losing their job for having basic milquetoast opinions that offended you in the first place. So you reap what you sow. Secondly, you should be very, very lucky right now that people only want your jobs, because based on a lot of the shit that you guys have said over the last several days, we can talk about drawing a line in the sand and be like, I don't want anyone out there to do something stupid. You should be very, very lucky that there aren't people out there looking for revenge right now against you guys. Like you have no idea how ridiculously lucky you are that there hasn't been a group of people out there literally hunting down leftists who have been celebrating this and making this exponentially worse. But that's the difference between, like I said, we'll say, oh no, both sides do it. No, both sides don't do this, because what did we see 5 years ago with George Floyd? How your emotional reaction to that led to an entire summer where everything was on fire, everything got destroyed, everything got burned down. 90 people died, I think, somewhere like 60 to 90 people died, and over $1 billion in property damage happened. Every time you guys get mad, people die and things burn to the ground. Justifiably, people on the right have been mad about this, and you have not seen the equal reaction to this at all. Like I said, we're going to show you the real face of evil here tonight. Rick, you're here early. I'm going to go with you here for a second because you have noted a lot of the reaction to this. What was your view on Charlie Kirk before the shooting, and what do you think about what's been going on just the last few days?
I didn't have much of a view about Charlie Kirk, other than he was this young man who was promoting conservatism among the young, going to college campuses, a big supporter and a big proponent for Donald Trump. And I was unfortunate enough to have seen the actual assassination video because it was on my feed, and you know, these things come up right away. I was absolutely horrified at it all. It's still very, it's just sickening to think that. But this is something that I trust we'll address during the show. This is the end result of what we've seen in the past few years. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump, which did kill a man. The assassination of Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, and the celebration for Luigi Mangione. I said that at the time, if you decide that this person has somehow the right to kill someone because they're in the embodiment of what you oppose, you've decided that you have the right to kill anyone. And this is the end result of it. You even can go back to and I've mentioned this many times, the congressional baseball team shooting in, was it 2017, where it was again targeted because they were all Republicans. I don't even say conservatives, they were Republicans. Steve Scalise was almost killed. Donald Trump was almost killed. Brian Thompson was killed. And what happened? Did the people react with horror? No. You had candles and, oh, how hot Luigi Mangione is. We warned you repeatedly. There's no excuse. there's no acceptance for this kind of celebratory nature. I saw the celebratory videos, and I was very distressed that people could celebrate this, but that's not a surprise. They did this when other people have been assassinated. We saw this all the time. We saw this not that long ago when there were these weird rumors that Donald Trump had died, and there were
Hmm.
people, even was it Governor Tim Walz, who could have been the next vice president. He was like, well, we might have good
And
news.
that
We might have
was
good
that
news.
was literally like a week ago before this happened. They were literally trying to manifest the death of Donald Trump so they could celebrate it, and then they got angry when it didn't happen. So this has been brewing here for a while. Like they
This has
want
been
blood.
this has been going on, and it has been a just a terrible, terrible obsession with killing your political opponents. That's the disturbing part. What did this guy do? I mean, you said, oh, he said bad things about trans people, or he said things about Black Lives Matter, or what have you. This is the thing.
And in all honesty,
He's
he
perfectly free
never
to
did that.
say. He's perfectly say. No, I'm just saying that is what they
I
said,
get it.
not what I said.
Mhm.
There, he's perfectly free to say what he wishes. That is the
Mhm.
greatness of the First Amendment. But you don't go around killing people just for saying things. I was reminded, Jacob, when you were discussing this. I was discussing, and I know you probably don't like me bringing up figures from the past, but I was reminded of the former late Israeli foreign minister Abba Eban when he did a documentary about the history of the Jewish people. He said when it came to the Nazis, they went beyond what had happened in Europe in the past, where in the beginning it was you cannot live among us as Jews, and then this you cannot live among us. The Nazis decided you cannot live, and this is where we are getting to the point where people like you, Jacob, like Sider, like Rob, all Trump voters or supporters, you are, according to former President Biden, existential threats to democracy. All three of you are existential threats because you are, quote, MAGA Republicans. We've heard this so many times that
Hey,
all
I
of you,
voted
all
for
three
Joe
of you,
Biden twice on the Barack Obama ticket, so I don't want to hear it. Okay.
well, no, no. Well, you voted for Trump once, so that's enough. You're worse than
Yeah.
Hitler. And we've heard this so many times that all of these our enemies are worse than Hitler. That they're the Nazis, they're the fascists. You know what fascists are? Fascists are people that killed your political opponents for speaking whatever they believe. That's true
After a
fascism.
decade of this fucking rhetoric by the people on the left. Trump's Hitler. His followers are Hitler. They're so dangerous. Look at and you fucking assholes. And here's
But
the
you,
thing. It doesn't matter what the background of the shooter is because a crazy person does that, right? But it's just like do you understand? It was you fucking people all these years, and what happened? It's not some conservative nut job who's
they
taking shot.
wanted it to
The
be.
conservative that's being shot, just like the president was. They attempted to murder him. Like,
They
help,
wanted
wake
to.
the fuck up, McFly. Sorry, I'm
They
done.
wanted it. They wanted it to be a conservative. They kept saying, "Oh, it's a right winger. Oh, his parents were Trump supporters. Oh, he comes from a Christian home." They were desperate. You, I just really want to wrap up with this my part real quick. We heard during the Summer of Love many times about we need a reckoning. We need a reckoning about race. We need a reckoning about this, that, and the other. It is long past time for our friends on the left, not, I mean, liberals, progressives, even moderate Democrats, it is time for them to have a reckoning about how too many of them have embraced the language of violence. It's very concerning. I'll tell you this much: for the people that I know, only one on Facebook mildly could even have said something remotely not celebratory, but posting cartoons where Charlie Kirk, with his bullet wound, is facing young kids, presumably all killed by gun violence, and said, Was it worth it, Charlie?" That's, I find, rather distasteful.
That's basically celebrating. That's basically saying that he deserved it because of his view
That
on
that is
guns.
that is
That's
very
literally what
that
they're
is
doing.
very concerning. But I'll put it this way: my commie atheist friend has at least not said one word publicly. Whether she believes it is right or wrong, at least she has enough sense not to put it online and put up videos dancing and celebrating and shouting for joy, because she at least has some sense there. And I think there are liberals and progressives and Democrats that I know personally who have all expressed horror and who are just so disturbed and so terrified. But for too long, as I told you guys, they've been playing footsie with all of these people because, oh, words are violence. No, they're not. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. Violence, murdering your political opponents. I don't believe I should murder anyone. I don't believe any one of us here wants to murder anyone, no matter how much we disagree with them. We ridicule them, we mock them. But murder and in front of his daughter, come on. If you can't have an ounce of compassion, don't expect others to have compassion when you lose your jobs, when you celebrate someone being murdered right in front of others and in front of his daughter. It's just so disturbing and troubling. It's frightening. So just think on that and measure your words, people. Measure your words.
Yeah, like I said, we'll get to the videos here in a second. Cider, I want to get your take on this, and then I want to go to Eddie because I know Eddie has a lot of stake because he's dealt with the problem with the left for quite some time here. But I want to get your take to everything that's going on with Charlie Kirk and this whole situation, kind of viewing things from the sidelines, especially. We know your battles with the left, especially in your town. Was anything that you saw over the last week surprising or just kind of a sad realization?
So I have to be careful. My inner Hitler's going to come out if I get too interested in this conversation. So you'll forgive me if I sound dispassionate.
Yeah,
So
I'm suppressing Pinochet right now. So, but go ahead.
yeah, right. Party time in fascistopia, I guess. But it shocked me how Mainers were reacting, and not like the college kids or the weird meth heads with blue hair. It was teachers and lunch ladies and grocery store workers and moms and dads and coaches and doctors and nurses and professors. People who otherwise should be concerned with like Whole Foods prices and yet are tossing all doubt out the window that they would not think twice about murdering their neighbor.
Yeah.
And I honestly believed we were Mayberry here, that we were still, things had gotten edgy, certainly, but we were still, how do you do, neighborino, We were still Ned Flanders up here, but no, it made it here. That murderous streak that always rises up in the left. Always, every time, whenever they're pinned down, when they've reached their maximum and they can't complete their weird death cult ritual that they try every 100 years, like clockwork, they go nuts, and this happens. And unfortunately, that mess has spilled into the United States. Before, it was Berlin. And what happened when the left went nuts there, well, they created Hitler. And Hitler went even more nuts. And the reason why Hitler rose to power is because people felt he was justified in what he was talking about executing to correct the problems in Germany that had plagued the average 9-to-5 German, before 9-to-5 existed.
Yep.
And so that's where I'm kind of stuck. There's a part of me that says I'm a rootin' tootin' American and I don't want to hurt nobody. But there's another part of me where it's just wall-to-wall Erica, and I can't escape it. It's just in my head every day, and I keep asking myself, is it worth it yet? Is it worth it yet?
Yep. Eddie, I want to get your thoughts on this whole situation here because you probably experience more left-wing violence here than anyone else on this show. So I think you're a little more well-versed on exactly how these people operate. Again, same question. Did anything shock you, or is this kind of a sad realization of what they've essentially always been?
They've always been like this. It's never changed. It will never change. I used to believe in like liberal causes. I was an angry young man once, believing in ideas and shit like that. And I never thought that eventually you'd have to fight your own neighbor in order to just say, basic things like, men are born with penises and girls are born with vaginas. and
Yeah.
you have to convince people of that. You have to break it down for them now, or we are allowed to say whatever we like to say and not get popped in the face for it. And I think like it's a meme now. It's now a meme, but I was there when they spray painted the giant letters, "Liberals get the bullets too." Like, oh shit, you're gonna kill everyone here and everyone around here just because they don't want to agree with you on. I mean, yeah, and then you see it all falling apart. And I knew it was going to just boil over eventually. Everyone keeps it quiet. Everyone keeps it fucking tampered down. No one says what they want to think anymore. And it's really, really annoying because then you get shit like this where a horrible, horrible incident happens. Something that should never have happened. And now it just pops off. And you get to see what your high school teachers used to think of you and what your friends used to think of you. And military people, there's the one that I was most interested in. Military people have no problem telling you that they want to kill you in the streets because you disagree with them. Military people, wow.
People who we allow to serve for the country.
Well, getting their fucking being welfare queens and everything else. Yeah. They're fantastic people. Hand on my heart. So teachers, nurses, all these people that are made to save your lives or make your lives easier have it in for you. You can't trust any of them. And it's the saddest thing in the world to say that. You can't trust anyone in the world, or you can't trust anyone in the United States anymore. At least half of the country wants you dead. And yeah, it's time. I think it's time. It's time. It's time to just start ignoring these people and start treating them the way they're supposed to be treated, like the dogs that they are. And it's time to really lay it into them. And I don't care anymore. I used to be pardon my language, but I used to be the faggot who used to say no violence. And then everyone started beating the shit out of me. Everyone started beating the shit out of my friends. They used to lay my friend out with a fucking fractured skull out. They used to they killed people. They killed so many people before this. I don't really care about George Floyd. Before then, Portland Antifa had no problem shooting people in the street. So, like, this has been going on for much longer than anyone wants to fucking remember. And thanks a lot, Mr. President, by the way. You finally did your basic moral duty and decided to have a talk about making these people domestic terrorists. Have a talk about these people being the fucking faggots that they are. No, thank you, Mr. President. You really are going right to my heart about this. So,
9 years too late, but I mean,
it's good for him though. I'm sure the ratings will be great. So,
let me ask you guys just a quick question. Let me ask you guys a quick question, and I'll let Rob go. How many of us actually used to be leftists? Like, I feel like almost everyone here at some point used to be on the left at some point in their lives, right? Is that a fair assessment?
I was a liberal, and I was definitely a Bernie Sanders supporter. To say that I don't think I would have ever thought that violence was the answer, because I'm an anti-war. I'm basically a hippie who's not a complete dumbass. That's basically me as like an 18-year-old in terms of worldview. And so just very idealistically naive and just, kind of a moron, but has a good heart. There's a lot of leftists who think that whole like communist socialism thing is going to work. It's not. It just ends in murder, guys. And you're not going to be the ones that are at the top. Okay. You'll probably be one of the people that get murdered. So don't support that. It's bad.
I'm reminded of that meme. I don't know if it's a meme, but some comment I saw on Twitter where someone said, well, when communism takes over, what are you going to do? And she replies, oh, I'm going to, do painting and work on my farm. And someone replied, your farm?
Right.
It's like,
exactly.
it's not.
I mean, but believe it or not, I've admitted this before. Like, I voted for Barack Obama in both elections. Like, back in 2008, I was the guy who used to listen to Maddow and Oberman and the Young Turks. I was that guy. Now, I can safely say that I was never far enough to the left where I thought that murdering someone because they didn't believe in climate change was a valid option at any point in my life. So I'm glad I never got in that deep with the left. But I mean, yeah, used to listen to the same people that these people used to listen to, and it was like, was it just that it was, in the 2000s and people were a bit more chilled out now, that, or maybe I just missed the radicalization period, or because I just don't see, where I mean, look, let's just put it to you this way, and you mentioned it earlier, Rob.
I'll tell you what it was.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what it was. It was you were raised with a conscience and a mentality that said things are bad and things are good, and it's better to do good things than bad things. Because that's another thing I'm fucking tired of. This guy who decided to go off, right, and decided to do this shit, they're trying to blame college. This dummy was in college for a month and a half. This guy is a fucking bum. This guy's been thinking about doing this since he was at least 14. I was 14 years old. I wanted to do shit like this. This guy was 14 years old. He's wanted to do shit like this since then. So college, like the brainwashing leftist mentality of college, had nothing to do with this guy.
You look at what the culture says right now. Was it adolescence portrayed that it was like the white kid who was raged because he heard something online? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that.
The Netflix show, the British propaganda piece.
That won Emmys. Yes, it won the Emmys. And then you have the Savant. I would not be surprised if the Savant had the potential domestic terrorists all be Charlie Kirk listeners, or even Ben Shapiro listeners, because all right-wing neo-Nazis love listening to that short Jewish guy with the yarmulke.
I hope that character gets punched in the face. That's all I can say.
No, I mean, they don't want to ever admit that maybe some people on the left are supportive of murder. We saw this, like I said, down to Luigi Mangione and down to the congressional baseball team. And I will say, just for full disclosure,
I say it's even deeper than that, because let's look at it from this perspective. It's like the left has been normalizing dehumanizing people for quite some time. Here's exactly what I mean by this. And like I said, you can say it started off with something as small as abortion, right? Because 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the argument from abortion, before the science kind of kept up with it, it's like, oh, it's not a baby, it's just a clump of cells, it's just a bunch of zygotes. Don't feel bad about getting an abortion because they can't feel anything. They're not even real people yet, right? And that view got normalized. So then we kind of progressed that view up until, hey, let's show people a whole bunch of things of, constant trauma and violence and death, and people kind of got addicted to death. I'm gonna parlay this into a conversation about James Gunn and the boys a little bit later on here, because they released a trailer for their latest episode of Peacemaker that I found very, very interesting, given what just happened there. That's a whole part of it. But now it escalated into, okay, we're going to name you these things to dehumanize you. So, oh, you don't agree with us on this issue on race, you're a racist. Oh, you don't agree with gay marriage, you're a homophobe. Oh, you don't agree with trans kids, you're a transphobe. They put all these labels on you: racist, sexist, homophobe. And they've been doing this for a while, shocker. And what is this doing? It's slowly dehumanizing you over time. And why do I mean this? Is that now all of a sudden that Charlie Kirk is dead, all the people who aren't outright celebrating the fact that he's dead, what is their reaction to the fact that he died? Oh, he was a racist. He was a sexist. He was a homophobe. He was a transphobe. So, hey, he's dead. Good. One less one of those. And so what happens is that now they're using these labels to say that, okay, well, if an ist or a phobe gets killed, and hey, that's one more for the good guys, quote unquote, right? And this is how we continue dehumanization. So now, like I said, this is the new line now. They've drawn a new line in the sand. If they view you to be a racist, then you're okay to be killed. If they view you to be a homophobe, you're okay to be killed. If you view you as a transphobe, especially a transphobe, you're okay to be killed. This is the new line that they've drawn in the stand with the murder of Charlie Kirk. So now everyone who was considered moderate or maybe to the right of Stalin, now you have to come to the realization that, hey, look, there's a very, very large group of people in this world, in this country, from California all the way to Maine, that if you do not align with them perfectly on insert particular issue here, they have no problem with either killing you or at least saying, well, guess what? You deserve to die. That's where we're at now. That's the new line.
And I would point out that is authentic fascism. When you decide that you have the right to kill someone because of their views. All right, let's just put it this way. Let's say that Charlie Kirk was all of these things and worse. You know, that he was a racist and a sexist and a homophobe and all of this. You know what? He has every right to speak what he believes. And you have the right to disagree with him and to do what he was doing when someone decided to blow him off. It is to oppose him verbally. But to decide that you have the right, or worse, the duty or responsibility to kill someone, if they decide, and I said this when Brian Thompson was murdered, if you believe you have the right to kill someone because of what they represent to you, it will eventually boil down to any random person that you disagree with. That's a
but there's two things to that point here, and on the Lisa side, it's not just extremists anymore. We've seen, you guys will see it here in just a couple minutes. I'm going to play it. It's not extremists. It's teachers, judges, nurses, doctors, professors, regular everyday. This is no longer just the extremists. This is not the people, you know, in their basement with their bunker and their maps and their plans. Like, these are everyday people now who feel this way. The people who you're going to see in these videos are not extremists. They're everyday people. You wouldn't even notice them walking down the street, and this is how they feel now. And then on top of that, the language that these people have been using. Let's go on a trans issue here, because this is the big sticking point with a lot of people. So let's talk about that. What has been the overwhelming talking point with the trans community is that by not acknowledging their quote unquote gender identity, you're killing them. Because you're not going along with them pretending to be a woman or pretending to be a man. So when you use them by the wrong pronouns, you're contributing to their suicide. You're killing that person. When you're dead naming them, you're contributing to their death because you're not going along with their delusion. And this is what the trans community has been promoting for a long, long while now. And now you're starting to see more and more trans people. It used to be funny on the internet when they were killing themselves and you can make 40% jokes. Guess what? They're not killing themselves anymore. They're killing you. They're going after Catholic kids and killing kids just because they think that, oh, well, these kids are Christian, so they deserve it. So now you have shooters going after children because of their diluted transgender identity. Now you have people schizophrenic talking to demons going out there murdering kids or murdering people like, you know, or telling their boyfriends to murder people like Charlie Kirk, if you believe that story. Well, that's a whole other can of worms that we'll get to here. But this is the escalation now. They view killing you as saving them, because they've been saying for a while now that if you don't go along with them, you're contributing to their suicide rates. You're killing them. So by them killing you, you're saving the trans community. That's how deluded these people have become, because this is how far we've gone along with this delusion. So once again, this is now the line.
So I am born, raised, dyed in the wool conservative. In high school, like as a youth, I was like a neocon. George Bush can do no wrong, you know? And I evolved out of that. I learned a lesson, very, very powerful one, especially when I found out what the fuck the Skull and Bones was. That was a real wake-up call.
Yeah.
And he was worse than Hitler. You know, W was literally
Absolutely.
the new Hitler.
So that's what I wanted to bring up, though.
Bohemian Grove.
So while you guys were doing your, you know, centrist, liberal-ish kind of leftist sort of thing, doing your thing, I was there watching all this happen from right as people were like, George Bush is Hitler. And I'm like, well, how the fuck do you figure? George Bush isn't making lampshades out of people. What the fuck are you talking about? And it started there. And it really surprised me. There was a little kid, and he was little. I'm 5'7", so this cat would be like 5'1". And he was narrow frame little guy, and he never sprouted into anything. And he'd walk around with a Che Guevara shirt on in fucking central coastal Maine. This little fucking 5'1" piece of shit walking around with fucking Che Guevara shirt on. Like, who the fuck are you? What the fuck? And so he would get on me because I was loud and proud, good American. Like they would let us say the Pledge of Allegiance over the intercom in the morning. And I was so proud that I got to say it one day that I said it. Principal said to me, I had a tear in my eye listening to you say the Pledge of Allegiance. You really love America. And I was like, damn right I do. But I didn't say that word because that would be inappropriate for a teenager. The NyQuil is kicking in if you can't tell. So what happened is that this changed dramatically as George Bush left office. I remember when I was getting on with my first fiance. We had just started dating, and it was in my senior year, and she was a junior, and so like she was still getting fed this stuff. And she's out in the rural part of rural Maine, so like where I would consider the boonies. Okay, so this is way the fuck out there. And so she's being peddled all this stuff about like, don't get married. You can't sustain kids, so don't have kids. You can't afford them. You grew up in an impoverished place. Why would you want to pass it on to your children? And I asked her, I was like, what do you think our grandparents did? She's like, well, we should live better than them, right? Isn't that the whole point of humanity, is to do better than the last? It's like, there has to be another one, though. You can't just stop having kids because you can't take care of them and hope the next generation takes care of them, because there won't be one. And that just never clicked up to her. She couldn't ever cross the bridge, because what she was told is that you can't provide a better life for your child, so don't do it until you can. And I watched that drip happen to every girl I dated, all three of my fiancés. The third fiancé was a third wave feminist, so she was fucking nuts. The hate sex was great, but she was fucking nuts. And so the situation as it boiled down with that, though, is that I watched all the stuff you're talking about come out of her. And that I knew it was like, you know, the woman thing where you just get overly emotional when you're cornered in your dumb little woman logic. Yeah. And you're like, my emotions aren't reality. Fuck you, I'll murder you.
Which is a very feminine trait that is overtaking a lot of people, especially on the left.
The lunar feminine, in fact. The Greeks used to call it the lunar feminine. Anyway.
Just real quick. You talked about George W. Bush. Do you all remember that faux documentary, Death of a President, where they fantasized about assassinating W? Yep. So again, how is this any new? It went from that to a literal assassination.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that like I watched it happen, that over the years, it started to turn from That's My Bush. You remember that show on Comedy Central of George Bush living in an apartment?
Yeah.
I do.
It changed from just George Bush is a big dumb dummy. He's such a big dumb dummy, isn't it funny? He can't say nuclear.
President.
It changed from that to, we have to kill this man, or the world will literally crack in half and Dookie will reign on us forever.
Fahrenheit 9/11. I don't know if anybody remembers that documentary. I had my first job. I was working at a Christian summer camp, and all the fucking college kids that were older than me, they were so excited. They were going to go see Fahrenheit 9/11. I was like, I kind of feel left out, but I also don't care because I was 15. But it was like, sorry, that was just a clear memory from my youth. But I just wanted to really just real quick echo what Eddie was saying. Going back all the way, like neo-Nazis used to occupy Portland, and then the other extreme happened, and it's been Antifa ever since. So anyway,
it's almost like they never left.
Yeah, right. It was just a jersey swap. That's all it was.
Yeah.
But
nobody really cared about the sequel, Fahrenheit 11/9.
Oh, yeah, I completely.
Yeah, where he suggested that Trump was in a somewhat incestuous relationship with Ivanka. I mean, it was like a nudge, wink, wink type deal, which I found rather tasteless.
That's Michael Moore for you. He's like a rotten marshmallow doglet on the side of the road. He's like chewed bubblegum spit out on the sidewalk. That's what I think of when I look at him. He's just like a melted form of a human. He left. So I do want
to. I just want to echo something because Lisa said it about, like how, like, here's the thing. I know there are people on the left that aren't like this, that will be disgusted by this. That, I mean, we talked about that. Like, I don't want to put a number on it, but like, what percentage of these people are like this? Because it's like, is it 20%? Is it 35%? Like that? Did you see that?
It didn't feel like. It did not feel like 20% when I was in San Diego. I'll just say that. It did not feel like 20%.
42% of Gen Z believes that violence is acceptable against your.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not just Gen Z. There's a lot of middle-aged people who also have the same mindset. So I can't even blame the younger generation.
So
I have the mentality. The only problem is I'm at the other side.
So back before we had the supercomputer, the world of supercomputing, we had the military trying to figure out what to do with all these dirty hippies if they decided to go sideways and have a revolution. Because all these kids were running around getting high in their hippie vans, and they were talking about overthrowing the government, and that shit can't fly. And so they started trying to figure out like a percentage, like you said, Rob, percentage of who would break away and what kind of threat that was. Now, back then, they were looking at, just about a 2% of the American population would consider a revolution, and only probably about maybe a half a percentage would actually commit to that. That's still a lot of people back then. But let's break that back down to 350 million people now. And if just 1% of that wants to raise fucking hell, that's a lot of people that you got to deal with that are not all in one place like they are in Afghanistan. They are spread out all over a motherfucking continent. They are in your neighborhood. They're in your basement. They're in your fucking laundry. What are you going to do?
Yep. So I want to show you some of the videos that have been out there. I mean, like I said, some of these you probably have already seen. Some of them you probably haven't seen. All of these are going to make you absolutely angry. So get ready to rage pill just a little bit. But
if we were going off this segment, I just want to say, everybody, back in 2017, 18, Antifa was going out of their way, especially through the Soros Foundation, Open Society, and everything, to allow cartel members to come into the United States to teach Antifa on how to do most of a lot of things happen.
I remember that.
I just wanted to point that out. That's the kind of people we're dealing with now. We might have been dealing with hippies and no good nicks and Eichmann yellers and shit like that. Maybe back in 2012 or so. But right now, we're literally going to be dealing with the military version of this shit. So
let me say this as crystal clear as I possibly can. If you mirror any of the opinions or thoughts or sentiments of the people in these videos, you are evil, objectively evil. And if you have the urge in your body to defend these evil people, you are just as evil as these people. I hope I made that crystal clear to you. Because as you're going to say now, like I said, this is not just a small minority. This is not just extremists. This is a growing sediment, unfortunately, with a large portion of our country here. So this was one of the first that people pointed out, but this was not the worst, unfortunately. Let's talk about TMZ here for a second. Now, here's what happened with TMZ. They were one of the earlier ones who reported this. However, they do these like daily live streams when they're in their newsroom, right? So every time news breaks, they're the first ones to know about it. So they had reported initially that, Kirk got shot. And then even in that video, you can hear somebody laughing in the background. But then when it was finally reported, when Trump made the announcement that Charlie Kirk had died, you hear people in the video in the background laughing and clapping at the announcement. And then that's when Harvey here officially makes the announcement that Charlie died. Now, he then goes on about an hour later to do a video saying that, no, we weren't celebrating Charlie's death. There was a car crash, a car chase that had concluded, and that's what people were celebrating for. So that was the lie they gave people. And as 4chan as people can possibly be, they went and did their own research, found the car crash they were alluding to. The timelines did not match up at all. The car crash had concluded 30 minutes before the announcement. So they went back, linked up the time period, and it was like, no, you guys found out that Charlie had died. You celebrated the fact that he had died. And then several days later, TMZ then announced an apology for their reaction, but never fired any of the people who were caught laughing in this video. So here's one of the first ones of people celebrating the death announcement of Charlie Kirk.
Janet, go
to the assassination.
Have somebody look at the Fox.
Now, keep in mind, at this point, he doesn't know why they're clapping because they haven't officially told him yet. When he finds out, then he kind of clicks like, oh shit, did we just catch ourselves on video celebrating this man's death? Because he just hears clapping in the background and doesn't know what they were clapping for until this happens.
Go to have somebody look at the Fox. Trump just posted that Charlie Kirk is dead.
All right, so is this ready to pull the trigger? We can get Trump coming. Yeah. Now, they initially lied about why they were celebrating. Then, of course, after people called out their lie, they then apologized. But all those people still work there, by the way. It's TMZ. We shouldn't be shocked. But yes, they hate you and they want you to die too, just in case you didn't know that. So remember that the next time you read or source a TMZ article.
The question I have is why, except if we believe their rather ridiculous story, why would they be cheering and applauding a high-speed chase where someone could have been killed?
He was trying to come up with a good lie. He thought that, if a car chase had ended, people will cheer and celebrate.
A car chase is nothing to cheer about or celebrate. It seems rather innocuous and routine in California. But here's the thing. TMZ loves exposing the private lives of people. Why don't they expose the people that were cheering and clapping if they're so proud of their behavior? They got caught. They don't want to take responsibility, and we know who they are. In theory, we can narrow it down if they want. I'm just appalled that people would be cheering, but of course, they're not people. Charlie Kirk and all of the people that voted for Trump and everything, they're not people. They're not people to these others. Because these others, the people TMZ and all these others,
even the ones
they're the good guys. They are
even the ones who weren't cheering Charlie's death. The first thing that they did was let everyone know that he was a racist and a bad person, so that no one will feel bad for the fact that he was murdered. So this is who you're dealing with here now. Now, the following videos that I'm going to show you here, and there's a lot of them. I got a few because people want to pretend like this is totally both sides. That no, you will not find any right-wing equivalent to anything that I'm about to show you right now. Try, you won't. If you guys want to see some demons, because these are literal demons, and I'm not using that term loosely. Here's a few videos of people finding out that, oh, Charlie Kirk's dead.
Oh man, did you guys see that activist in America, Charlie Kirk? He got shot. Did you see that? That guy.
Dude, we're not your dommy mommy. You don't have to
loves
whisper.
gun violence. And he got shot. Did you see that? Oh man, Charlie Kirk. To the Charlie Kirk family. Did you see all that blood that came out of his body? It was like, to every Zionist, every Christian Zionist, may you be just like that shop, the Target.
What the hell is a Christian Zionist?
All his followers.
Basically, anyone who's a Christian who supports Israel. That's literally their definition of a Christian Zionist.
Most of them, then, or?
Yeah. I mean, basically, he just says if you're a Christian, you're next.
Just like the shop, the Target. I'm not saying that violence isn't the way. So don't misconstrue my words, okay?
He looks like the Joker when he screwed up all those jokes. They're all laughing at him.
There is a fucking God.
Just for the record, we should point out, these are the good guys in their world.
Right.
These are the good guys. These are the moral ones. These are the kindness matters. Love is love wins. This is what they are. They believe that they are the good guys, and anytime that someone is killed who opposes them, that it's somehow a moral good. So just think about
this is literally Isaiah 5:20. These are the people who are calling good evil and evil good. They think they're the heroes when they're the villains. This is textbook what it is. Here's more here.
Please let the rumors be true. Let the gossip be reality.
As loud as I can.
Please. Guys, it happened. He got pronounced dead. Oh my god, this is literally I swear to God, the equivalent of the big beautiful
that time I ate a
obituary,
bunch of Cheerios
we're so
and
close.
I
We're this fucking close. I swear we're this close. That is for sure. I am definitely popping a bottle tonight. I can't believe this. Whoever did it, I just want to say thank you so much. Whoever did it, they finally did it for the sake of humanity. Thank you.
You're too fat when your skin is androgynous.
Thank you. Holy fucking shit, he's dead! Fucking shit. Ding dong, the witch is dead. To everyone saying that it was such a senseless, violent act. I want you to remind yourself that it was God's plan.
I mean, really, it was actually his fault because, like, he should have been wearing, like, a bulletproof.
Notice how all of these people just hate God. You never seen that as being, like, a common theme with all these people? They just hate God with all their hearts. It's just weird, right? It's almost like a way a demon would react.
Also, he got shot in the neck. What's he gonna do? Wear a bulletproof scarf?
Yeah.
That's what she suggested.
Neck brace or something. Like,
What you say?
He was wearing a bulletproof vest. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if like, because I heard
Yes.
that from a couple different sources. I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but I had heard that he was wearing one, and the bullet
And the
basically
bullet
went through
ricocheted.
it.
That
Yeah,
was my
so
understanding
it's just like,
too.
He did whatever he could to, take precautions. So
I cannot believe he walked out the house without it.
Yeah,
And really,
this
you
girl
have
in
to
front
be
of him.
aware of what you're wearing in public so that, like, people don't target you. And you don't become a victim. So I guess this is just another example of God's plan in action. It was not a senseless act of violence. This was God's plan. Happy.
Yeah,
So
whatever you
with
say,
Charlie
mattress girl.
Kirk getting shot, it's a good time to remind us that he is the one who said verbatim that gun deaths
yeah?
are worth it for to keep his gun rights. So
Which I believe was
as long as
taken
we
out.
don't
What he
take
said?
any guns from anybody because of this, he died a happy
Verbatim?
man.
I would say pour one out for Kirky boy, but I don't waste good beer on little bitches.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
you
there's the
I give them to my children to make sure they
There's
sleep
a
tonight.
There's a common trend. A lot of these people have nose rings. I don't understand why. It seems a lot of them.
A lot
have
of these
nose
people
rings.
have SSRI prescriptions.
Right.
SSRIs, STDs, all there's a whole bunch of things. There's a lot of
And
people.
a crack pipe to smoke it all down.
Just notice that it just seems a most curious thing to me that a lot of them have nose rings. I don't know if that means anything, but it just seems to stand out.
They're all bulls. They're all bull fucking dykes.
Yep. Here's more because there's a lot more of these, by the way.
I have breaking news. We think that
Not
Charlie Kirk
Copyright.
just got shot in the neck.
I don't even
Hey,
care.
Ooh, ah, ooh.
Like really, Charlie Kirk, one of those innocuous figures on the right. Think about it. He's the most like obviously
Right.
person.
Right, he left her.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
what? It doesn't even make sense.
She likes to suck a lot of swords.
Oh, good. Wait. Yeah.
Is that Ariana Grande?
No, they're playing.
There are some people on this app that are sitting there saying, "Oh, you shouldn't wish death upon any person, no matter what side they're on."
What's going on?
Fuck that. Fuck that. Charlie Kirk was a fucking Nazi. He was a
Willy
fucking
Wonka is a
Nazi.
socialist.
And you know what kind of Nazi is the best Nazi? A dead one.
Gather round, bitches.
What
Let's
about
all
him?
join
Oh, this
hands
one is the most
and bow our
grotesque.
heads
One of the most
in thoughts
grotesque
and
ones.
prayers for Charlie Kirk.
Look at the.
You ever
deletion
notice?
app.
You look at their faces. They're
Yes.
contorted themselves like. I'm telling you, these people are literal demons.
The
like
delight she has is just grotesque. The delight.
I don't think that it's a coincidence that literally 2 weeks ago I did a episode on demon possession, and then these videos came out within days of this event happening. These people are demons. They all hate God. They all love everything that is demonic, and they all look like they are possessed by literal demons. Like, is anyone connecting the dots here? What's happening? And then, of course, what is this demon going to do? Mock God, because that's exactly what demons do.
By wearing the Eagles jersey on top of it.
Prayers for Charlie Kirk. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. I'm not sad. It's about time Karma took out that trash.
Karma doesn't take
Charlie Kirk was a big advocate for the Second Amendment.
The
It
delight.
worked out well for him.
What does Pat have to say
The
about
best
this?
part of this whole goddamn thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing.
That's
It will
what you-
activate no one.
You'd be so much
It will
prettier with your
impact
cleavage showing. At
you.
least I pay
That's
attention to
what
what you're
you think.
saying.
It's just great.
By the way, I just want to point this out, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on here. There was rallies for Charlie Kirk in South Korea, of all places, in Australia, of all places, in the UK. I don't think that these demons realize that in a lot of ways, killing Charlie Kirk was actually probably worse had they had killed Donald Trump. Because, like I said, you killed the guy who a lot of people felt like was the moderate, who was the reasonable one, and you murdered him, and then you went on a victory lap and a celebration tour about his death. I don't think you guys understand exactly what you did, but here's more people. I want to bring this guy up here for a second because we talked about him before. He was one of the guys who was like deaf to the Jews, deaf to the IDA, and all that stuff, Free Palestine. Isn't it also hilarious that these same people who hate God and hate everything that has to do, they also just hate Israel and they love Palestine? It's almost if there's a trend, a followable, verifiable trend with every single one of these people. But the point I wanted to bring him up with is that he's in the UK. I think he's UK based. He said a lot of things, and keep this in context. There are a lot of people in the UK who have been arrested for saying things that weren't even a fifth or a tenth as offensive as what he's been saying here, but he's been allowed to say this with impunity while you're getting arrested in the UK for memes. So I want you guys to keep that in mind while you're getting arrested for offensive trans post. This is what this guy's allowed to say with no pushback whatsoever.
To an absolute piece of shit of a human being.
Was this the guy who was in the train that stabbed the girl?
Pronouns were. Because if you chat shit, you will get banned. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk.
It basically said, "Rest in peace, you piece of shit." That's exactly what he said.
The worst part is if someone shot this asshole, then he'd be a martyr. Everyone would fucking want to make a fucking thing on him.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's interesting that when his tour got canceled, or when he was not allowed in the United States, he said that somehow he's the victim in all of this, and
they all think that they're victims. When they reap what they sow, they always think that they're the victims in this story every single time.
But it's like that what Newton. I mean, you can relate it to many things, but it's Newton's sixth law of physics. For each action, there's an equal and opposing reaction. Okay, you decided to respond to something that happened, then there was a reaction that was caused by your action. So all of these people did it to themselves. They put themselves out there. They put their names and faces out there, and guess what? There were consequences for it.
Because they always believe that people would agree with them. That's the thing. They live in a very curious bubble where they don't interact with people who disagree with them.
They put themselves in their own echo chamber. That's their fault. It started 10 years ago where it was like, oh, you oppose Muslims coming here en masse, I can't be associated with you. And then they kicked out everyone, like I said, in their friend group, their family members. These are people who literally brag about the fact that, their parents and their families don't talk to them anymore because they become so radicalized that they can't even be around the people who they grew up with anymore.
They couldn't go to Thanksgiving dinner with someone who voted for Trump. They couldn't associate. They had to disassociate with family, with friends, because they voted for someone that they don't agree with. Believe me, if I did that, I'd be completely isolated. I mean, I didn't even vote for Trump. That's a weird thing.
When I lost 2 jobs, okay, one during the pandemic and one like 2 years into the pandemic, one of them was for things I said, and let me tell you, it was a lot more tame than anything these people said. And and it was just like there was none of these people stood up for me. It's not like, and obviously it's not like it was tied to something like that affected many people, but it's just like it's not remotely the same thing. And so while I defend free speech, this like gleefully expressing yourself about the murder of an innocent person, it's like, if a company doesn't want to associate with you, well, like, can you really blame them? Like, put yourself in their shoes. Hey, we don't want this person near us because of the negative association.
Yes, there are people who would threaten boycotts, who would say, I'm going to pull. They've already pulled from other companies. They have said, I'm declining your contract, or I'm canceling the contract. I'm canceling my work orders with you because you have people who work for you who celebrate murder. And regardless of whether I supported Charlie Kirk or not, I don't want to be tainted with this association. They're going to want to rescue their business, and they're not going to sacrifice them. I mean, they're not going to sacrifice their business just to keep you and drag them down with you. I don't understand the logic here, nor do I understand the logic of posting this. For heaven's sake, sometimes just don't say anything. If you have a bizarre idea where you want to celebrate someone being murdered in front of hundreds of people, I cannot stop you from that. But for heaven's sakes, don't post this. But again, my thinking is they post these things because they believe people agree with them and that everyone agrees with them, and B, they will be seen as being on the right side of history.
Well, not only that, I'll take it a step further. The reason why they post stuff like this, because for the longest time in this country particularly, they've been able to say stuff like this with no pushback whatsoever. So they haven't been getting in trouble this before this, so why would they think they would start getting in trouble now? They're now upset because, some nurses are out there who celebrated Kirk's death and thinks that people like Kirk needs to die, then she got fired from her job, and now all of a sudden, the right are hypocrites because people are getting fired. It's like, I thought you guys were all against cancel culture. No, I would actually say that person deserves to be fired more than anyone else. As I mentioned earlier on social media, medical mistakes is the third leading cause of death in this country behind heart attacks and cancer, right? So this person who has shown that she would openly support the murder of people who she doesn't agree with politically. Let me put it to you this way. If that was your father in her care, or your mother in her care, or your sister, or your brother, or your cousin, who happens to have opinions that this woman doesn't like, do you trust this woman to care for your loved one? Am I above the realm of possibility that she might do something to intentionally cause your family member's early death? She clearly supports the murder of her political opposition. So why is it will be a step further to assume, or so far out there to assume, that she might go out of her way to have actively killed people who she politically doesn't agree with? Who's to say that she haven't already done this?
Now,
they just marked it off as an oopsie daisy medical mistake.
Were these the same nurses and were all these people who post these videos the same ones that would freak out if you got anywhere near them without a mask?
Yeah, the ones who were doing TikTok dances while you were all locked in your homes. Those people.
While your grandmother was fucking choking to death, yeah.
Yeah, well, while your grandparents were dying on ventilators, they were outside doing TikTok dances.
This woman literally, you can see it in her face. She's the embodiment of a literal biblical pig demon.
Yes.
We haven't even heard what she said.
No, but she is. You can see it in her eyes. She is contorted with the demons of Legion.
Exactly. I was literally about to bring that up.
Completely just wanting to. And this is, I'm going to blame Hollywood. This is bad movies. This is bad horror movies. Because all of these assholes also watch Saw and dismemberment videos and all of this shit, all this entertainment. It's all entertainment. That's what they're doing. It's like in wrestling when you're fucking yelling at the guy you suck. Oh, this is entertainment. This is how they get their. This is how they get their jollies down. So Saw movies.
I'll talk about this in the next thing. So I'll call out a couple of shows here because we watched the trailer to Peacemaker season 2 just a couple of weeks ago before this whole thing happened, and I noted this while we were watching the trailer, is that the people who consume this type of content, especially content from James Gunn, shocker, a lot of these people are on the left. Like I said, correlation here. What do you see primarily in these videos that they love so much? Death. You see people blowing up and getting exploded and getting murdered, violently murdered, by the way, and they love it and they cheer it. And why is it that they love it so much? Because in a show like Peacemaker, who are the bad guys? White nationalists, Nazis, anyone who disagrees with you. And that's why they love watching it, because the people who are getting brutally murdered on these shows are the people who they hate in real life. It's therapeutic for them because they get to live out their violent murder fantasies through these television shows like The Boys, where you use the same thing. And are we supposed to be surprised now that they're actually dehumanizing people in real life when this is the type of stuff that they consume? And don't sit here and try to have the argument, oh, you're blaming the TV and video games. No, I'm noticing patterns. And like I said, it all seems to be the exact same pattern, just like with this woman. Do I have to play this again? Yeah, X video is.
No, I'll translate for you. Oh, God, you know.
Yeah. We're gonna see how far we can push it.
Who else is talking while she's not talking? Oh my God, it is.
Sounds like a fucking witch.
She
sounds like a fucking witch.
If you were gonna get the job done,
The video is slightly out of sync, so yeah.
No, dude, the video is off. That just makes her even look more satanic.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes her look even more evil. Like, it's not even her voice that's coming out at this point.
There were two better candidates.
She's balding as a woman at 40. It's
And
terrible.
Furthermore, when that happens, and it will, it will. Not only will we be insensitive, that'll be the
Again, demon possession is real. Tell me this woman is not possessed by multiple demons.
least of your worries. But it's gonna be.
She sounds
the
like a Power
biggest
Ranger villain.
fucking celebration.
Rita Repulsa over here.
Biggest, most beautiful celebration.
She has a
on planet
bloodlust.
Earth. On planet.
They all have bloodlust. They're celebrating. It's
all
not just
look
the
like Sean-
assassination.
Like Sean
just-
Astin,
it's
too.
not
It
just
doesn't
the
really-
assassination here. She's saying that there'll be more, and then they will, they will celebrate. This is Nazism. I hate to break it to all of these people who think they're the good guys. This is actual Nazism in the belief that you have the right, if not the duty, to kill people, mass people, for in this case, a political view. But it's not too far from deciding that they need to kill you because you have a certain viewpoint or a certain characteristic. This is, I will say the term, this is demonic, this is satanic, this is monstrous, that she's sappy, and that laugh is not helpful, by the way. It just makes her
It's the laugh of a demon. And again, I challenge you.
Morphing into the first guy.
Find me 25 minutes worth of videos of people on the right celebrating the death of people on the left. I'll wait.
Don't you know?
I'll fucking wait all night.
Don't you know, Jacob, that random Minnesotan Democrat got shot by somebody
Yeah.
or whatever? And,
By the way, let me address that. Let me address that just real quick because that's a talking point that everyone's been using ever since CBS wrote an article about this and ran something on their head. So now all the leftists are talking about, oh, what about Minnesota? What about No, this is just like Minnesota. The headline literally says, the Charlie Kirk murder reminds me of this event in Minnesota, and now they're all copying that same talking point like sheep. Let's talk about Minnesota. A woman, congresswoman, was shot by saying that, by the way, this is not live streamed, by the way, so I don't even know how you make the correlation between that and what happened to Charlie Kirk, because literally everyone in the world saw Charlie Kirk get murdered in real time. So again, correlation here, I don't know where the correlation is, but the person who shot this individual is described as a Trump supporter. Who called him a Trump supporter? The neighbor that they interviewed said that, oh no, he loved Trump. He was a big Trump guy. There's no statement or anything to back up that guy saw. They're literally using the neighbor's testimony saying, oh no, he definitely loved Trump. You want to know what he said? He actually said when they were interrogating him that Tim Walz, who's the guy from Minnesota, told him to kill the woman so that he can basically run for her seat. And you want to know what the reaction to that confession was? Oh, he's crazy. He's a lunatic. Can you believe that this babbling nonsense this guy's talking about? Yeah, that's the story that they keep bringing up to be like, oh, see, you guys are just as violent as we're being right now.
Paul Pelosi. Blow me with your Paul Pelosi's.
Yeah, who attacked Paul Pelosi? Who attacked Paul Pelosi?
All right. Literally an Antifa house in the middle of Shattuck Drive in Berkeley, California.
I will say that I'm.
Was that a Trump supporter in his underwear?
I'll say I'm not thoroughly surprised that they will say that it was all Trump supporters or this or that, because if you look at what they saw on various television programs and what you're going to have in the Savant, it's always the right. It's always people on the right who are committing this. It's never anyone on the left. And I mean, it's been, what was it, fiery but mostly peaceful protests during the Summer of Love.
I've heard people unironically use the argument, well, what about MLK? So now we're going back 60 years to find an example that you think is comparable to what happened to Charlie last week? MLK?
No, that dude was killed by the CIA. That was in the papers.
Right.
They literally admitted to it.
Ironically enough, Charlie was as close to MLK in the past 25 years than we'll ever fucking get.
Exactly, right? So This is a video from the producer of Steve Dice, who, if you guys don't remember, he did the movie Nefarious that came out a couple of years ago.
Yep.
He said that this was the most evil video that he's put together, and he literally did an entire movie about demon possession.
And it was actually
because in the context of that movie, it's fiction. This is real.
Nepal.
God, Nepal.
I'm not saying she deserved it, but I'm saying God's timing is always right.
Yes. Lord Nefarious.
By the way, this is 5 minutes of left-wing reaction. 5 minutes.
This fucking guy. Yeah, he got shot. Oh wait, I didn't really mean that. I meant to say USA.
Mm-hmm. He literally saw him die right in front of him, and this was his immediate reaction. But hey, both sides, right? Both sides do this.
It wasn't to get down and avoid any potential more shooting. It was to like, pump your hands in the air like your team just scored.
Right, and to get a USA chant going, apparently, as he claimed.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure, polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use. I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration. He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive.
By the way, when this whole thing started, they literally tried the whole lie. Well, we don't know if he was really shot. This could have been a Trump supporter shooting his gun off in celebration. Right. Apparently, they think that you're just Yosemite Sam firing off like 45s into the crowd.
You're going to wait a minute. You think that you're going to shoot a gun
in a college?
You know, if you shoot a gun in celebration, you shoot it up. You don't shoot it towards a crowd.
No, you just shoot into the ground like Yosemite Sam talking about rootin' tootin' gun shooting.
You shoot it into the crowd because there's somehow guns in a college.
Yeah.
Younger figures in this.
I thought there's a no guns free school zone or whatever.
This sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups.
Like I said, this is how they speak about Charlie Kirk. Oh, he was a Nazi. He was sowing hate speech, and he was sowing division. He had awful, horrible opinions. What were they?
I would still say that regardless of what he says, you don't kill people for what they say. This is the scary
Not
thing.
According to the left.
The justification is appalling. I wouldn't want anyone killed because of what they say. They have the absolute right to say it. It is when you start shooting at me that I think, hey, no, this is not a First Amendment thing here.
This guy in the video even says sort of hate speech. It's not even hate speech. He can't even call it that. He says sort of. So that's what you can get killed for. Like, you want pineapple on pizza? Apparently expect to eat lead.
He called it sort of hate speech and then used that as a justification where it's like, well, this is what this guy was saying, so it shouldn't be any surprise someone would murder him. Look at the things that he was saying. What was he saying? What was he saying that was so terrible? Like, I know in Black Twitter, they were all saying, well, he said that Black people were better under slavery than they have it now. It's like, you guys were better in the 1960s than you had it now objectively. Because guess what? You had a family structure in the 60s before the Civil Rights Movement. Oh, I guess that means that I deserve to be killed because I just made that opinion public.
I just want to point this out. Like, you have these people that work for news organizations who have basically been like they stopped short of basically saying, obviously some people have been fired, of like he encouraged this kind of and it's like, okay, again, so you're saying that there are some things that are worth committing violence over then, because what you're saying is, well, he attracted that kind. What? He attracted crazy people. He basically made crazy people do something. I mean, seriously, that's what these people sound like. They sound like they're justifying what happened to him, while keeping
No,
that
they are.
ability.
They are, by saying that he was hateful, that he was racist, that he was doing all this hate speech. They are justifying what happened to him, because what they want you to take away is like, well, he was such a hateful person. It shouldn't be a surprise that somebody murdered him. Listen to the things that he was saying. That's what they're trying to. They're trying to normalize his assassination by saying, oh, well, no, listen to the things he was saying. They were so wildly offensive. And then saying that to be like, oh yeah, no, it's totally normal that he would get murdered. If he had just been nice, if he had just been a good little boy, he wouldn't have gotten shot.
Had he just assaulted,
I can't believe that Charlie Kirk could be like this embodiment of evil. I mean, anyone who sees the videos, yes, he can be a little mocking, or could be mocking, but he wasn't out there insulting them. He wasn't just calling them. I mean, he disagreed with them. It's a difference. There's a vast difference. You disagree.
They act like Charlie Kirk was like that dude online who dresses up in the Joker get up and calls everyone the N-word. They act like he was that guy. Like, that's legitimately what they act like he was.
They went after Charlie, not Nick Fuentes. Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Back to
Right, that they have less guts than balls.
Lead to hateful words.
Hateful thoughts. Hateful. What were they? What were? Because he didn't support global homo. Is that what makes him hateful? Is that what makes him a sower of discord? Is that what the line was? Because he didn't affirm people's trans identity. Because he didn't support gay marriage. Is that the line now?
If memory serves correct, Matthew Dowd, wasn't he brought in as one of the token conservatives because he worked for Bush? The literally the new Hitler. Wasn't that the whole spiel?
By the way, just a quick little note to Dr. Sleep. Once again, Manson family, not the right. Just throwing that out there. If you go back to what they believe, they were not right wingers.
Jim Jones, CIA, project.
Yeah,
anyway.
Jim Jones, not the right.
Yeah,
Jim Jones was very much on the left.
Yeah,
hateful actions.
To everyone saying that it was such a senseless, violent act. I want you to remind yourself that it was.
By the way, they're showing tweets in the video, again, from teachers, from judges, from medical professionals, lawyers. Again, these are not random crazy wackos on the internet in their basement doing, the Always Sunny from California with Charlie trying to figure out who Pepe Sylvia is. These are not the people that we're talking about here. These are everyday people who have positions of power and authority. These are the people, by the way, these are the people who have been teaching your children for the last 20 years. And you wonder why your children are all screwed up? These are the judges who let, psychopaths out on the streets so they can stab 20-year-old white girls in the neck. These are who these people are. Is anyone surprised that it got to this point? By the way, there's still 3.5 minutes left in this video. Again, I dare you to find me a right-wing equivalent to this because it happens on both sides.
God's plan.
Well, don't you know that Imperial Waffen
rhetoric
said
too
something?
from both sides?
Yeah.
Often gets out of hand.
Both sides.
Oh yeah, I didn't even play that video, but that's another one. After he was killed, they tried to do a moment of silence for Charlie at the House floor, and the Democrats were literally interrupting, screaming obscenities, refusing to do a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, who was just murdered hours before that. They refused. Those are the Democrats who are in Washington. Both sides, right?
But remember, they didn't say anything wrong, and they're completely non-justified. They're completely.
Find me the video of the Republicans on the House doing the exact same thing when the woman in Minnesota got killed. Find me that video.
Let's wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it.
Fomenting it?
They're the good guys. Always remember that. They're the good guys.
These are the people who are on the right side of history, guys. The God-hating homosexual side.
Speaking of this tragedy, is this a moment for your party to reflect on political violence? Is it a moment for us to think about the responsibility of our political leaders and their voices and what it does to the
Oh, you're talking
masses
Kevin, my
as
ass
they
is hurting
get
McCarthy.
lost in misinformation.
So after they killed Charlie, there was like, hey, maybe do you think it's time for you guys to tone down your rhetoric? You think it's time for you guys? Meanwhile, while people are still actively celebrating Charlie's death, they're like, hey, maybe you guys are the ones who need to tone this down.
Disinformation that turns in and spills into political violence.
And I think, you know, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
That's literally all he did. That's literally all he did.
And I know you guys aren't real happy with like Bill Maher or whatever, but I actually really did like what he said. Was basically like, look, you can say whatever you want about Charlie Kirk, agree or disagree. He was a moderate Republican, and he went into basically the lion's den. You know, he went into all these places that didn't welcome him, and he said, let's have a conversation, you know, or prove me wrong, or whatever the thing was. It was an open forum. And that's the whole idea. If you want to say that I have the wrong ideas, then show me, prove me that I'm wrong. Show me that you have an understanding of what you claim to understand. And see, that's the first step of being an adult in terms of critical thought. And here's the thing. Don't care what Charlie Kirk did. I adamantly believe in free speech, and I'm never going to be at any kind of level like that or be under threat. But I believe that people who bravely speak what they believe in the face of opposition, like that's heroic behavior, regardless of what it is. That, you know, and doing it in full faith and wanting a response. That's something that like anybody should be proud of in terms of behavior.
I don't know, Rob. I mean, according to defender of true and pure conservatism Joe Scarborough, you knowingly voted for a fascist. You knowingly voted for a racist. So there's that. You have to remember. So I don't know.
Just labels, though. You could call anybody anything you want, and it'd be the end of the world. So
you are an existential threat to democracy, as per Joe Biden. Just to know, just so you can know.
Rewriting of history.
Yeah, there is nothing more effed up, you know, like than to completely pretend that, you know, his words and actions.
I want to throw you down a stairway.
Have not been recorded.
And they're talking about war. That there's a war targeting conservatives.
Yeah. Look, it's that is incredibly dangerous.
That's incredibly dangerous. Not the guy who just got shot in the neck in front of a bunch of people. No, it's incredibly dangerous for saying that they want you dead and they're actively trying to kill you. That's the dangerous part.
Was there something underneath that said Charlie Kirk doesn't believe black people have brain power?
That's something that was I think that was
weird. There it is.
No, that was a made up quote or something that was taken way out of context.
Yeah, no. So this is a tweet here.
Yeah, it was referring to.
I didn't know Charlie. I didn't know Charlie was so based.
No, none of that.
But no, that's one of the quotes that they used to be like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm glad he's dead because he said this," and then he never said it. It's literally made up.
No, she was fired.
That is incredibly dangerous. I am really, really disappointed. And what I would urge, I would really urge the President of the United States to speak out against that.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. He did say that gun deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights.
That I believe was twisted.
Hey, some gun deaths every year are worth it for Second Amendment rights. It's like.
And keep in mind, the people who are celebrating because of this, they're upset that you're allowed to have a gun while they're actively showing that they want to kill you.
And then you vote for them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, again, these people equate your words with violence. And I ran into this all the time during the pandemic, having to explain to people, you know, listen, we all go a little crazy sometimes, but I don't know. I was raised, and I certainly hope the majority of people were raised with the idea that use your words. It is never appropriate. And I take that pretty far. Like, I am incredibly out of pocket with people. If you know me in real life, you know I don't give a shit. I will say whatever the fuck I want. But it doesn't matter. And listen, I take that to a pretty far extent. I really do. But I believe that to the fullest, that as soon as you put your hands on me, I legally own you. And if you're gonna try to kill me or end my life, well, then the state's gonna own you. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. That's the society we've built and that we've sustained and that we're gonna have. Okay, we're going to have a peaceful society, or we're going to throw you in a fucking cage if you want to act like an animal. At the end of the day, I believe that 70% of this country, if and when they see this or have seen the reaction of these people on the left, they would be disgusted by it. And like Cider said, like, they're fucking lucky. They're fucking so lucky there hasn't been a blowback or response to this. So that's all I want to say to that.
I'll be controversial.
Is a loss of your job. That seems pretty mild compared to
again, based on all of these, based on the way that they're out there celebrating and tap dancing and doing touchdown dances. You're lucky that the right only wants your job at this point, because if the right puts out the same energy that you are, we're talking about bloodbaths in the street.
That's the thing, though. It's like, okay, first of all, like, I understand that these people are disgusting and everything. Nobody on the right is going to do a thing about this. That's the thing, is that nobody in this country actually, they all talk about civil war. Nobody in this country actually knows how to start one. Like, they don't understand, they don't know the process. Like other countries, they're used to it. They know the structure, the hierarchy of things. In America, we have no clue. We're like, what the hell? Somebody shot the guy. Well, do we shoot somebody too? Nobody on the left is going to care if anyone gets shot on the left. That's the thing. They don't. They look at themselves as sacrifices and martyrs all the time. They're going to put Facebook posts on this asshole, this bitch right here, that's going to get nailed one day, and everyone's be like, "Oh, thoughts and prayers and everything," and they're going to try to do the same thing to us. Oh, you shouldn't say things like that about her. And she was a great woman, and she helped people. And you know what? I don't care anymore.
By the way, just a quick little sidebar here before we get to the rest of this video. The Rock's fat, ugly, unattractive daughter can go straight to hell, and that's all I have to say about that.
Well, it's interesting that was it Christianity Today decried George Floyd as starting some sort of ministry or mission.
Christianity Today is literally run by people who hate God. Like it's a joke.
But I don't know. It's just a curious thing that when George Floyd died, it was the gospel legacy of George Floyd. Charlie Kirk gets gunned down, and he died.
But no one knew who no one knew who George Floyd was. That's the thing. Nobody. You can take a random stranger and just make them into a martyr on the left, and they'll just run with it. You can't do that on the right. On the right, people will just forget about you. Everyone forgot about Corey. Everyone forgot about Ashley. Everyone forgot about the fucking. I can't even pronounce her name. But last week, a terrible thing happened to a young white girl.
The Irina girl. Yep, from Ukraine.
People need to remember.
To be fair,
putting them over.
To be fair, people were very, very upset about Irene, but then the Charlie murder happened literally right after that, and that's why you haven't heard much from her since. But that one did anger quite a lot of people, especially with the video and the photos. Real quick, Leslie Tarkin, I want to point this out here. I'm conflicted with this, and here's why I'm conflicted with this. Objectively, I think Patel and Bondi are absolute idiots, and if you wanted to get rid of them, I would not object to that whatsoever. On the flip side, I think cleaning up the intelligence agencies, especially the FBI and the CIA, is a pipe dream, because the people who really control things are in the FBI and the CIA. Like, that's the reason why everyone was so gung-ho about, oh yeah, we're going to get power, that we're going to expose the Epstein list. And then they found out who really runs things. Because as much as we would love to think that, somebody like us would go up there with nothing to lose and expose the list and everyone, as much as we like to think that, in the reality, when you realize just how much information these people have on you, your family, your friends, things of that nature, to be like, okay, if you do this, look at what happened to Charlie Kirk. Do you want this to happen to somebody that you know and love? Like, I get it. It's a line where it's like, man, you would love for someone to actually flip the tables and do something about it. I don't think that it's going to happen because of how much power the intelligence agencies truly have. And that's kind of the dirty little secret that everyone dances around, especially when it comes to the United States of America. So that's just the way that I personally look at it. Bonnie and Cattell are idiots. Like they're just idiots. That's my personal opinion, but that's the way I see it. So
yeah, I do not like anybody who uses hate speech. Like anybody, any politician, I don't care what party you belong to. When you start talking about like hate, here's the thing: hate speech is stupid. Hate speech convictions are stupid. You know why? It's an added sentence on top of the crime that was already committed and convicted. Like it doesn't make any sense. You're adding additional punitive charges for an ideological reason, basically, you know. And so, oh well, you killed them because they were black. Who cares? You're still getting a murder conviction. Like what does it matter that, oh well, it's on the record that we prosecuted this for hate speech? It doesn't. And even if it was like, God forbid, somebody Jewish who got killed because they were Jewish, still treat it the same. You should prosecute them for the fact that they were murdered, or that they murdered somebody. I don't understand hate speech laws at all. I understand being sentimental for towards your group or your whatever, but it's like it just doesn't make any sense.
They thought that they can get you to stop criticizing their protected classes by saying what you were doing is hate speech, and then that didn't work because people weren't falling for it. So now they're just using it as a justification for dehumanization and now murder.
I want to make Rob a T-shirt that says hate speech is stupid. That's a great quote.
Yeah. Hate speech is for fags. That should be the
quote. I mean, now you're
shut up, hate speech.
One of those people.
I have breaking news. We think that Charlie Kirk
By the way, I just want to throw this out again, completely unrelated. Single men like myself, good luck finding a wife out of this bunch. Just good luck. Good luck finding someone who, one, you actually want to marry, and good luck finding someone who's not going to divorce you in less than 2 years.
Or want to kill you. Or want to kill you.
Or you want to kill her.
I have a feeling that this woman would have no problem having been part of the people cheering when they brought out the bodies of Shiri, Kafir, and Ariel Vivas.
Yeah. This woman probably has a body count of like 106.
Well, of course she does. I mean, she's wearing a Smokey the Bear shirt.
You like terrorism?
Yep.
No.
Eye for an eye, bitch. I think the only thing that went wrong that day.
Is that what that means?
Was that Trump wasn't standing behind him getting a secondhand bullet.
You got to reading the Bible verse.
You know, sometimes revenge is a dish best served cold. I hate to celebrate
revenge. Now it's revenge.
Revenge.
Someone's death, but when you talk about guns' rights and you talk
revenge
about
is like serving cold cuts.
So the theme of this video is that if you support gun rights, you deserve to be shot, because how dare you support the Constitution of this country?
To you and impact.
And he's sorry he's doing this.
Joe Biden did say,
he apologizes for saying all this.
So this is the hilarious part with the left. They're using the Second Amendment to justify why people deserve to die, and then when they get in trouble, they want to fall back on the First Amendment. Isn't that funny how that works?
In the voice box. The guy who made a living spewing evil, hate-filled rhetoric.
Wouldn't that be the free speech? Wouldn't that be the First Amendment? So why is he not allowed to use his First Amendment rights? So all of a sudden you guys come free speech absolutists when you guys get fired. Why is that the case?
He's been practicing this speech in front of the mirror since Black Panther 2 came out, so give him a chance.
Died from getting shot right in the voice box. I might be 1% less atheist today. Like that.
Again, they all hate God. Every single one of them hate God. There's no conservative Christians. There's no church-going Presbyterians in this video whatsoever. They all hate God. Every single one of them.
I only believe in God because he killed somebody I hate.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
That's just too, nah.
Okay, guys. So I would like to start a new movement called CMAGA. MAGA, because
See MAGA.
people like that respond to fear and terror and aggression, not logic and empathy and, I don't know, intelligence. It doesn't work for them. So fear works. So if we all get our guns,
if we all scare them,
Second Amendment right, and our common sense at this point, this administration is begging us to rise up and revolt. And you see somebody with a MAGA hat?
I was not expecting that forehead to come at me.
That one is quite horrifying. You know, if you see someone.
No, she basically just said, if you see MAGA, kill MAGA. And there's probably a few people out there who will support that sentiment because that's how much they hate MAGA too.
Well, this is the thing.
Well, as someone who lived in a neighborhood, was it all cops are bad, ACAB? Just constantly see this shit on the like, I don't know what. The fence posts and whatever, it's
bed
like,
posts and stuff like that. Okay,
and then the whole like you got those things on the lawn. It's like, in this house we believe in, bullshit. And it's like, okay, it's all right. It's okay. You don't have to tell us.
So, yeah, that's the left in a nutshell. In all honesty, I could do this for another two. I can do this for another 2 hours because there's literally more videos of leftists celebrating and making threats against the right than I can possibly squeeze into the time frame of this show. We can literally do this for weeks.
Fascist. That last woman.
No, that last woman is a demon.
Oh well, okay, if you want to go that way, but I will say she's a fascist because she believes she should kill anyone who disagrees with her. That is what the Nazis did. That is what
but here's the other thing too that pisses me off. It's like we keep calling it fascism. We're using their language. It's communism. It's always been communism. Communism has always killed anyone who has gone against their authority. It's been like that since the very beginning. These people are commies, and this is the only logical step for what happens when you are still a communist country. It happens time and time again. We used to talk about this in U.S. history class before the commies took over and stopped teaching them this.
If you think about how people often wonder, how did Germany, which had great civilization and great culture, devolve into embracing Nazism? Well, you could see this is how, because they
for no reason whatsoever.
They normalize the desire to see others, to see people, not as individuals, but as the other, as a group, an alien group that needed to be ultimately exterminated. And it's not just Jews who were killed in the Holocaust. It was political opponents. It was gays. It was Jehovah's Witnesses. And I don't know why I guess because they don't salute the flag. I don't know. Just even a strange thing to want to kill
Jehovah's Witnesses. That's just another cult. That's just called what it is.
Well, whatever. I'm not talking about whatever you think they are. I'm just saying they all justified killing others because, again, we're seeing this, and it's a very concerning thing. People don't see Charlie Kirk as a person. They don't see him as a father, or they don't see him as a husband. They don't see him as a son. They don't see him. They see what they imagine him to be. They see his socio-political views, and it's evolving to where Jacob and Sider and Rob and Eddie and I presume others would see them not as individuals, but they see them as what they believe they are politically. And it's very concerning. I'm very concerned that people believe that you have the right to kill someone just for speaking. I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to listen to you. I should just let you be. You speak your mind. I speak mine. What happens to all those people who keep saying, "Oh, I need to speak my truth"? Well, Kirk was speaking, or if you want to call it his truth, and you think you should just gun him down. It's just, for me, quite horrifying. But when you start dehumanizing people, which is what has been going on, you end up with this. And you end up with the assassination of Brian Thompson. You end up with the congressional baseball team. You end up with death of a president. You end up with the attempted assassination on Trump. You end up with these acts of violence. You end up with, the summer of love. That's the end result. Violence, you keep saying that violence is never the answer, but it seems to be the response in burn down this building I mean, give us what we want or we'll burn down this building. Give us what we want or we'll kill you. That's a scary thing. We cannot allow this to happen. And I will say again, to their credit, I know many on the left who are angered, who are enraged, who are very upset about all of this. So we're not going to throw out the baby with bathwater. But it is long time that people have this quote conversation. We keep hearing about why we need a conversation about race. We need a conversation about this, that, and the other. We need a conversation about how too many times people have rationalized or excused violence, and now someone is dead. The most, the most milquetoast person that you can find is dead, and it doesn't matter what he said. It does not matter. He had the right to say it. I have the right to say what I believe. Rob does, Cider does, Jacob does, every person listening, even people who disagree with this podcast, they have the right to say it. They don't have the right to kill others for saying it. That's the concerning thing. And we need to be very concerned. We need to be very concerned on all sides.
So I want to take this time and spend a couple of minutes getting biblical with you guys. And again, there's going to be some people who get very angry at me when I do this, but at this point, I really don't care because I'm going to point it out here. When I was watching these events unfold throughout the last few weeks, and as you guys know, it's no secret, I've been doing the Bible Lens now for about 107 episodes. I've been doing this for a little over 2 years, almost 3 years now. And one of the things that convicted me when I really started taking faith seriously is that I looked at the world that we live in today, and every aspect of our world and our society is an open rebellion of God. And you won't know that unless you actually read the Bible and see that everything that God is against, this world celebrates. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that things have gotten to this point. But for those who are looking for some kind of peaceful solution, I know there's people talking about national divorce. We have to separate because we can't live in peace. Like, look, national divorce is a pipe dream. I hate to break it to you. I think it's about time that we accept the reality. There's not going to be a peaceful solution for what comes next. It is going to get worse before it gets better, because this was basically predicted to go this way almost 2,000 years ago. I'm going to read a couple of verses for you guys here, and I want you to tell me if this does not exactly sound like the world that we live in today. This is Matthew 24, 6 through 12 here. This is Christ talking about what the end days are going to be like before the time period where things get really, really bad. And what does it say here? You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all of these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famine, pestilences, earthquakes in various places. These are the beginning of sorrows. When they deliver you up for tribulation and kill you, you will be hated for all nations, by all nations, for my name's sake. And then many will be offended and will betray one another and hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise and deceive many, and the lawlessness will go abound, and the love of many will grow cold. With all these people out here who are celebrating the brutal murder of Charlie Kirk, does it not sound like we're in a world right now where the love of humanity is just going ice cold? For all the videos that I just showed you throughout the course of this show, does it not seem like we're kind of at that point right now? But it escalates even worse than that, because one of the big topping points of my show, what I've been focusing on the most, is talking about the 7-year tribulation. You guys who are listening to the Sunday show know about this. I mentioned it a lot. I feel like we're very close to this. Now, I will say this. I did an episode, recorded an episode last Sunday where there's people out there who believe that the rapture could happen next Tuesday or sometime within next Tuesday. I do not hold to that belief, because I think that those people are in error when they're trying to calculate the date of when all of this starts. However, if you were to say calendar year, I say that it's probably possible within the calendar year, and here's why. I talked about this a couple weeks back in my study on Genesis 18, talking about when God was talking to Abraham, and God made a promise to Abraham that he would not destroy the righteous with the wicked. What is the difference between the righteous and the wicked? Ultimately, it's those who believe in God and those who don't. That's the only metric of that right there. But in order for God to punish the wicked, he has to remove the righteous. This is where the concept of the pre-tribulation rapture comes from, and I'm very much pre-trib on that aspect. But when that does happen, when that happens and all the righteous disappear, for 1 second on earth, there won't be a single righteous person in the world in the eyes of God, which means that all that will be left are wicked and evil people. Now, that's not to say that all people are going to die and that all people are going to get eradicated. That's not true. People will be saved during that time period, but you have to understand we're talking about the worst time period in human history. Literally the worst time period in human history. So here's a couple of things that are talked about in the early stages of this time period in the book of Revelation. Now, we're talking about how the Irina situation with the girl who got stabbed in Carolina drew a lot of anger and a lot of, emotions. And then the Charlie situation drew a lot of anger and a lot of emotions. Things have been calm for now. I don't think it's going to last that long, because what do we see here? This is the second seal, the very beginning of this conflict here. One of the 4 horsemen. And what does this horseman do? He opened the second seal, and I saw another living creature say, "Come and see." Another red fiery horse went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, that the people shall kill one another, and that it was given with a great sword. You find out a little bit later on in Revelation 6 that as a combination of all of these things that happen in the early stages, 25% of the world's population dies. By the way, they're all unbelievers, just throwing that out there too. But 25% of the world's population dies because peace is going to be removed from the earth and people are literally going to start killing one another. So all these leftists that you see over here who hate God, who are just drenched in bloodlust, they want to kill people, it's going to come a time where they're actually going to do it, or people are going to do it to them. Imagine 25% of this country's population dead as a result of war. Based on everything that we watched here tonight, is that a absurd concept? Is that something that you just can't possibly imagine, that people will be so hatred of one another that they would actually go out and kill each other en masse? Or does it seem more and more like a realistic possibility that you see here right now? And another thing, I'm going to parallel to this here too. We talk about the wickedness and the evilness of people. All these people are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. This is not the first time that we see, nor the last time that we will see, people celebrating the death of someone who's associated with God. The 2 witnesses in Revelation, I personally believe them to be Moses and Elijah. I can tell you about that another time. But what do we see here? At one point, they're killed by a beast that comes out of the earth. And what is the reaction of the people who dwell on the earth at that time period? Verse 10, "Those who dwell on the earth will rejoice over them, make merry and send gifts to one another, because the 2 prophets who tormented them who dwell on the house of the earth." So these 2 prophets who are of God were basically spreading the gospel and spreading punishment to the wicked people of the earth. When they're killed, the world celebrates their death because they're from God. And that's what's happening here. And I'll leave you guys with this before I'll get final thoughts on this whole situation. When we talk about the book of Revelation, I'm pretty sure most people have at least heard of the book of Revelation. Even unbelievers know what the book of Revelation is. It's an event where you see all of these horrific, terrible events happening to the people who are on earth. And you read it, and I think the human mind, the concept of it is to think that, well, this has to be some kind of spiritual representation of something else, because these things, these horrific things, can't literally happen to these people at this time period. I believe these things are going to literally happen to these people in these time period. Why? It's because they're wicked. It's because they're evil. And it's because they hate God. Now, what a common thing from atheists that they love to use is that, well, if God is real, how come people kill each other? If God is real, how come cancer exists? If God is real, how come all these horrific things happen? I don't think you understand that the only time God has actually directly intervened in human conflict is 3 times. 2 of them has caused a lot of death. One was Sodom and Gomorrah. The other one was the flood, and then the Tower of Babel. 2 of those things resulted in mass death of wicked people. One day, God is going to do something about the wickedness of the world, like you want him to. The only problem is that a lot of evil people are going to have to die in the process. And we're not just talking about just regular death, like, oh, that person had a heart attack and died. People who have read Revelation, they have heard about the horrific things that happen in that time period. People die of diseases. They die of starvation. They die from killing each other. At one point, demons are literally going to come out of the earth and torture people for 5 months. Those people are not even going to be able to die. Those people are literally going to be tortured for 5 months. They're going to try to die. They're going to want to die. They're not going to be allowed to, because that's their judgment for how wicked they are. One point they get burned by the sun, and at one point all of the waters of the world become blood. And why is that? Why does all the waters become blood? Because these people were the ones responsible for the death of God's saints. And God says very plainly in here that because you guys spilled the blood of my people, my saints, I will force you to drink the blood of the saints unless you die. Which means that if you want to live during that time period, if you're wicked and evil, guess what? You're going to have to drink blood to do it. And it's the blood that you spilled. So make one thing about it. I truly believe that Charlie Kirk was a man of God. Everything that I've heard from him, I have no worry whatsoever about where he is right now. But then the question then becomes, well, if he was such a holy man, if he was such a man of God, why did God allow him to die in the manner that he did? Because God is using this moment to expose evil and wickedness to the eyes of all, so that they then can't say that they didn't know evil actually existed. You're seeing evil right now through people, through your friends, your coworkers, your acquaintances, people on social media. You're seeing people celebrate the death of a righteous man because they didn't like what he had to say. They didn't like what he believed. You're seeing their evil hearts get exposed to the entire world, that everyone can see it. And there's a lot of people, like I said, even from the left, who are very, very disturbed by this. This is why I said earlier in the show, if you're disturbed by what you're seeing and you're on the left, that means you have a soul. That means you still have a shot. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there who are too far gone for their own good. They're the ones who are going to end up suffering in the end. You think to yourself, well, man, how bad could those people possibly be that they can endure all of these horrific things in Revelation and it be just? I think you guys got a small preview of exactly why these things have to happen, of why we're talking about a time of judgment for all. And there's only two sides of this entire, there's going to be no fence sitting on this issue. You're going to have to pick one side or another. It's Satan and it's Christ. From the people who I showed you here tonight, not a single one of them would choose Christ if you put a gun to their head. So you know who they're with. At some point, you're going to have to make the same decision. If you made the decision already, good for you. Other people, I just pray that you don't learn your lesson the hard way, because what comes next is going to be something far, far worse than you can imagine. If you thought the Charlie Kirk reactions are bad, what's coming soon is going to be far, far worse. And that's my only, I guess, mic drop point for this entire situation. And it's not to say that to black pill anyone, it's more to wake people up to the reality of it's coming, it's soon. You have an opportunity to jump on the boat now. I would take that opportunity, because I honestly don't see how much further things can get another year from now with the direction that we're heading, unless we're talking about a time period of mass war and mass death in this country. We say people won't do things, but we're not that far off from a time period where people probably will start doing things. And at that point, you're not going to be able to bring the genie back in the bottle. That's my whole thought process there. Cider, I'll start with you. We can get last thoughts on this whole situation. Again, that's my thoughts on it. What do you got? Is Cider even there? Yeah, there he is.
Lord, have mercy on us as we struggle to understand your purpose for us. In these times, in the places we find ourselves, have mercy on us. Amen.
Sometimes that's all you really need to say. Rob.
Yeah, so I'll just share this. I read the Bible pretty young, a couple times, and whenever I got to the book of Revelation, and again, this is like me at 8, so my mind kind of just like reeled backwards and was like, how, what? And it was basically just explained to me, don't think about it, don't worry about it. It's just, we don't know. We really don't we don't really have a way of fitting this. And I grew up in the evangelical Lutheran church. And that has absolutely nothing to do with like the Southern evangelical, I guess that's Baptist.
Southern Baptist, yeah.
Okay, that's what that is. But
Southern Baptist, dispensationalist, there are a lot of groups in there.
And so, my relationship with the church and with God has been relatively lax and loose, and I've been just an agnostic really since I was in my early 20s. Mostly because I just don't know, and I know enough to know I don't know. But I will be honest with you. The longer I've lived, the longer I've experienced things, the more doubts I have about, whether God exists, whether this, he sent his son to die for our sins, and everything that goes with that. So, and recent events have certainly made me start thinking like maybe there are like evil people in the world that are, I don't like, again, I'm not real comfortable using the word possessed and demonic and stuff like that, but whatever you want to fucking call it, it's not right. It's not how people should act. It's not how people should live. And again, this is me saying, hey, live however you want. No, you know what? Maybe there just needs to be a limit. Maybe this is why society needed religion all these years, because you go long enough without these principles in place and people just lose their fucking mind. I don't know. I guess I'm at the point that I started this and saying I don't know, but there's definitely been a lot of stuff that's made me reconsider that, and lately has made me reconsider that, where it's just like maybe there is something to at least, at the very least, consider and think upon, and pray, meditate, whatever term or word you want to use. But it's like, yeah, there's enough. I've seen enough and I've experienced enough to at least question it. And yeah, things are not great right now. I personally hope it's just a blip in the radar and it's just not a great time. But yeah, so I wish everybody well. I hope those people who made those videos find peace. I don't think they will, but I hope that for them. But yeah, that was, to go through all that was really fucking disturbing last week to see how people reacted. I'm heartened by the fact that I saw a lot of people basically say it was incredibly wrong, it was evil, and that's not what we stand for. That's not what we're going to accept. So I do want to at least highlight the positive with everything. But and again, I know that people aren't going to rush out to see it, but The Long Walk, like, kind of resonated with everything that happened last week, where it's just like, not knowing how much time you've got, hoping, you reach the end of this thing as the winner, but ultimately there's one winner and 49 of you are going to die. So, anyway, just, appreciate every day, love your loved ones. You don't know how much time you got. And hopefully you can live your life as proud as Charlie Kirk did, at least, as a symbol. So, take care of each other.
Yep. Rick, what's your final thoughts on this whole situation?
Well, first, for what it's worth, I think we all can send condolences to Mrs. Kirk or the extended Kirk family. No one should have to bury their child, especially someone who is younger than probably everyone here. And I know I'm young. I'm the oldest person here, but everyone here is actually older than Charlie Kirk was. Maybe Cassie's probably the only one that we know who's probably younger. I would hope, and I do take some hope, that the people who have also commented have said, and who've seen the events of this week, have also said, I'm actually picking up my Bible. I'm going to go to church. How do I go to church? And have thought about things about faith, especially because he was so young, and people think it really could happen at any time where my life could end. And some of us have been blessed with a long life, and some sadly have been taken very young. I hope that people will have that time to introspect, contemplate, meditate, to use Rob's word, meditate, pray, consider other things like their relationship with the divine source. For some of us here, that divine source is Christ. I hope that they will start looking at it and not just dismiss it. The reactions that we've seen, even among some atheists and agnostics, has been, this is demonic, because there's just, how else can you explain people celebrating and being joyful at anyone's death, especially so brutal. And again, especially in front of the daughter. I understand that she tried to run to him because she was not aware of what was going on and thought he was in danger. This is brutal. We cannot allow this. And if some person decides to take this and know what his life was a man who I understand was a man of faith, and say, let me look within myself and see if this life that I live now, if it is a good life, if someone will mourn or celebrate my death, if it gets them to go and contemplate these things and think about these things, meditate on them, meditate on the word, then this is death shall not have been in vain. We've seen such evil. We should not reward evil for evil. We should reward. We should look upon the goodness that people can do if they put their faith in that power. For us, it is Christ. And I'll just end with this: the desire, the belief that an atheistic society is a good one. You look at the ones that we've had. That has been Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Those were thoroughly atheistic countries. That didn't turn out so well. So just meditate upon these things. And I pray for all those who want to take the opportunity to look within themselves, look at an outside source, and hopefully they will be led to the light. Lead on, kindly light. So sending my best wishes to everyone and my deepest condolences to all his family, all his co-workers and friends. It's an agonizing time for them. All my prayers. Thank you, everyone.
Eddie, you're the last one up.
I'm really, really happy that everybody has really positive things to say, and it's nice to be genuine with people that have an idea of empathy and sympathy and just overall understanding and compassion for the situation that happened and everything. I'm going to be the mean one, I guess. It's time for lefty people to it's time for you to grow up. It's time for you to I understand puberty is really, really hard to get over, but it's time. You're 38. You need to get the fuck over it and grow the fuck up and realize that normal working society doesn't work this way. It doesn't cheer when people die. It's actually pretty, I'll be honest, Hassan, Destiny, if those guys go, trash bin in history, I'm not going to care. Openly, I will not give a shit if Destiny or Hassan end up going. I'm not hoping for it, but if they fall down a staircase, I'm also not going to cry because I'm tired of wasting my tears on people that easily will want me dead too. And so now I'm going to reserve my tears for people like Charlie Kirk and for people in this audience and for people here. And I'm going to reserve my tears and my empathy and my compassion for the people that actually will not want to see me dead because I decided to say something stupid like Hassan and Destiny should, But that's what revert. That's right. So if for what it is, that's what revenge is like cold cuts. Revenge is like serving cold cuts means. Revenge is going to be serving the cold cuts that's eventually going to be handed out. And I hope it doesn't, but this world's a crazy fucking world and a lot of crazy people are in it. So let's hope that God sorts them all the right way.
A lot more than I'm comfortable with, as the old saying goes. But yeah, no, you're right. And like I said, I get that there's anger. I get that there's resentment. I'm not even telling you you're wrong for feeling that way because, like I said, seeing the reactions that we saw here tonight, I'm honestly truly surprised someone hasn't already done something stupid. And I wouldn't even tell them that they weren't justified in feeling that way. But like I said, there is a difference between what you're seeing from the left and what you're seeing from the right. Does that mean that everyone on the right is good? No. Like I've gone about this many, many times before. Just follow me on Twitter. I'll tell you who the idiots are. But there is a solid difference between the morality of the left and the morality of the right. And the fact that it's been a week and no one has done anything stupid yet shows you the difference between what they do and what we do. And I guess since, we kind of brought it up, I'll give you guys a slightly uplifting message here, because people always say, well, what's your gospel message? Everyone has their own gospel message. I just go to this one because I think that it's pretty much as clear cut as you can possibly get. John 5:24, the words of Christ, says, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believe on him that sent me have everlasting life, shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death onto life. They can kill you, and some of them probably will. Let's be honest here. I think it might escalate here, but those who are in Christ, they can kill you, but what else can they really do to you? And that's kind of the whole emphasis of faith right there. And I'll leave it at that. So I want to go ahead and thank all you guys for joining me here on this very episode. Hopefully things calm down in the next week so we can go back to our normal format and talk about things that don't matter at all, like South Park and video games and stuff like that, like we usually do on Tuesday night. That would be great if we can do that. So we hope to be here. We're going to be here next Tuesday one way or another, unless, the rapture does happen next week and I was wrong. So outside of that, thank you guys for joining us here on Rumble.
Tune in for live rapture coverage next week,
right.
baby.
Exactly right.
All those
like I
guys
said,
will be gone, but I'll be here.
Well, there's a few people who may be on the fence. We'll talk about that later. All I will say here is that, like I said, I personally don't believe it's going to happen next week, but with everything that has happened, I would not be completely surprised if I am wrong. But my guess is not this year, maybe next year. Cider, where can we find more of you?
I'm making Power Ranger videos on Bounding into Comics because I have a problem. I probably need an intervention. You can see the folly of my interests over there. Bye now.
Cider is inspiring me to bring back my 15-year-old harem of Power Rangers. Obviously,
okay, so when you say that, you gotta not lead with the 15-year-old part. Okay, you gotta wait for that.
No, I meant the concept is 15 years old. The concept is not legal, not the girls in the show.
I responded on Twitter the way I did, Jacob, because the way you said that, I was like,
I think we just should keep age out of it.
Yeah. Trust me, one of them was 40. Okay, I'm revealing way too much about this.
Yep.
Rob, what's going on?
Okay, guys. Hey, so I like to talk about movies over my Twitter. It's right there, and that's about it. No, hey, I'm really excited. F1's coming out on 4K Blu-ray, so I just pre-ordered that. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to A Clockwork Orange also coming out on 4K. So lots of movies, and football is really occupying a lot of my time. That's why I'm only watching 7 movies on a weekend and not 18. So, it just takes up all my Sunday. So, but other than that, I'm doing really well. My life's going well. I mean, the world is shit right now, but really my life is going really well. So, I hope everybody is doing well. I'm kind of breaking my persona here to reveal like I'm a human being. So I'm gonna go now. But you follow me over my Twitter. I'll talk about movies. Paul Thomas Anderson's like I Hate Myself Because I'm a White Guy Married to a Partly Black Woman is coming out in a couple weeks. So hopefully it's not terrible. He's done a really great job of making movies. He's a great artist, but this one's making me nervous with everything I've heard. So we'll see. One battle after another. I guess that is next week. So looking forward to that. See you next week.
All right.
Don't steal Rob Sunshine. Play the video that I put in the private chat. That's going to be my outro.
Oh God. Oh yeah, I saw this. This is actually hilarious.
It's amazing. I love this thing. So they decided to show the Demon City, Demon Shinuku or whatever in the theaters, right?
Demon Shinuku.
I don't know. I don't watch.
Forget about the leftists. The weebs are gonna get you.
Yeah, right.
I love Demon City Shinuku. But they're playing it in Mexico, right? And so they got the credits going. But this mariachi band thought that they were playing Toy Story, and so they decided to just show up and start playing "You've Got a Friend in Me."
Dope. There we go.
And, just for the record, it is 16 de septiembre today, so it's fitting that you would play that.
It's not, actually. Demon Slayer has absolutely nothing to do with that, but that's like the boomer way of like celebrating a movie opening there. That's crazy.
I love it.
Wow. Because like the whole show is about killing demons, okay?
They were
So,
probably
like,
they were probably all celebrating with like 3X and tequila.
but what's
shots.
funny is they're all child characters. So it's like if toys had nothing to do with Toy Story, you know? It's such a bizarre. It's such a bizarre choice.
Cider, something got lost in the translation from Korean to Spanish.
I'm just saying this made my week, other than everything else that went on. So that actually brightened my whole week. So I just wanted to share that. Happy weekend, everybody.
Rick, what do you got?
Well, I want to write a review for 7 Years in Tibet, but I cannot find my notes for the life of me. I have been about tearing down my house and my work site. It's like, where did I leave my notes for 7 Years in Tibet? And it's terrible, by the way. So I've got that and more reviews. Now that the Chihuahuas have ended their season here, I have, I guess, more time to probably watch more movies. Though, because I don't watch football, I'll pick up the slack from Rob. I'll just try to watch more things. And yeah, just hopefully more reviews. And I know that as we're coming in September, and of course the fall season, we're going to get more of those award contenders. So I've heard things about One Battle After Another, which was partly filmed here in El Paso. So I'll probably be trying to watch that. And yeah, just more reviews, try to catch up and see if I can finish Dune Prophecy, because apparently I'm becoming more and more addicted to that series. So there you go. That's pretty much it. And hopefully I'll find my notes for 7 Years in Tibet. It's somewhere. I know I have it somewhere.
All right.
God bless everyone.
I guess letting you guys know what I'm going to be doing here. So I got a lot of movies that I need to catch up on. Well, I had a lot of movies that I needed to catch up on. But then in the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting, I'm thinking to myself, is it even worth my time to watch movies from people I'm pretty sure I know actually want me dead? Do I want to continue doing this from that aspect of it? So I got a lot of things to think about over the course of the next few days. So I'll keep you posted there. But yeah, there is a lot of movies that I need to catch up on. I've probably seen 3 movies in 2025 that I would consider good. Not great, but good. It's been a very, very bad year for movies. This is easily the worst year for films since I started reviewing professionally in 2016. It's not great. Outside of that, we're going to have Bible Ends on Sunday. We're going to talk about Jesus Christ. Shocker. We're going to talk about whether Jesus died in 32 AD or 33 AD, because that may be the missing link of everyone who thinks that the rapture could be happening next Tuesday or not. So we're going to kind of dispel some of the notions regarding that date, because I think it might be important. We'll be back here on Tuesday, unless the rapture is next week, then it's been real. Outside of that, I think that with everything going on, all the heavy topics that we've talked about here tonight, why don't we end things on a happier note? So here's a little video called Office Prank.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Brian. Hey, Brian.
LOL. I've seen this before.
The fact that his screams just continue in the background. We used to be a proper nation. When I'm just good night, everybody.
Used to be a friend.
Okay.
Making your way through the daily grind takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to tune away? All those nights when you're feeling low, the rent is overdue, and your coffee maker's broken, your luck just seems to skew, and your boss is always on your case. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed and you feel the dread. The morning's looking bleak. The morning's and your internet is down again. You haven't slept all week and your car just broke down on the way. Be glad there's a place online where you can feel at ease. In the barroom, podcast friends, we share our thoughts and teas. Every story shared, every laugh so free. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So here's to the moments we all hold dear. In this barroom of the airwaves with friends so near. Every story shared, every heartfelt cheer. It's more than just a podcast, it's where we steer.
I still don't feel like I know how to shoot these things.
Beat it. Wash your ass.